All right, viewers, we'll connect to Shambhavi in just a short while. But that is the big breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. ED-CBI joint team to assist Crown prosecution in a case related to the extradition of Nirav Modi. All right, viewers, shifting focus back to what's been happening in Assam. A special investigation team of Assam Police is now ready to submit its charge sheet before the court in connection with the death case of late singer Zubeen Garg. On the other hand, Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma has said that the SIT will submit this charge sheet by the 12th of December. It's just a few days from now. Take a look at the details.
After months of interrogation and forensic deep dives, the special investigation team is now all set to file the charge sheet in Assamese singer Zubeen Garg's death. The SIT is set to file its charge sheet between December 6th and December 12th, ahead of the final December 18 deadline. As the investigation has completed, the SIT has compiled 3,500 pages of evidence, including testimonies, forensic reports, and financial documents. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma revealed that filing the charge sheet within the specified time frame is crucial, as any delay beyond December 18 could make the accused eligible for bail. From what began abroad as a tragic drowning incident, the state government now insists this is a murder case and justice must be swift.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा।
Security. All right. ED files a charge sheet against Anil Ambani rated company in connection with fake bank guarantee case. SIT is all set to file charge sheet in connection with Zabeen death case. Charge sheet expected before December 12. Delhi Police Economic Offences Wing issues notice to Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister Shivakumar in National Herald case, asks him to appear before the EOW on the 19th of December. Clashes break out between Afghanistan and Pakistan near Spin Boldak border. 4 civilians killed in Afghanistan. DGCA orders a 4-member committee to review causes behind Indigo's massive operational disruption, leading to one of the worst aviation meltdown in years. Very warm welcome. You're watching Live and Breaking. I'm Rakshita Mishra with you this Saturday afternoon, viewers. It's the big Republic impact story that we're tracking for you. Now, 24 hours after Republic exposed profit blackmail economy, Republic forces the government to wake up on skyrocketing fares. Now, the government forced to act 24 hours after Republic report. 24 hours after Republic report, government invokes regulatory powers. Finally waking up, asking the airlines not to extort the passengers. That's the breaking news we are getting in right now. Government now compelled to act, as Republic TV took the lead on this story. Republic TV continuing to get voices of the common man affected by this crisis, by this extortion, by this blackmail economy, raising this issue for the past 48 hours. And now we see this impact just 24 hours after the expose on the profit blackmail economy. We see that government now invoking regulatory powers, finally waking up, asking airlines not to extort the passengers. And government has taken note of the situation. There's lots that has happened in the past 48 hours with thousands of flights cancelled and passengers left stranded in airports across the country. And finally, we see that the government is waking up, and it is now being pushed to take note, at least asking airlines not to extort passengers. Of course, remains to be seen what action is taken, because there's no concrete action that has been taken on these airlines yet, because the punishment has been on the people of the country. The citizens, the people, the passengers, the customers have been bearing the brunt of this this aviation meltdown. Now, okay, what I understand is that Centre says there should be a pricing discipline. That is the order. Centre has issued order to airlines amid the fare surge. So the fare surge has now been taken note of by the Centre. Indigo flights had cancelled, and now Centre directed the airlines to follow all prescribed fare caps to protect passengers from any form of opportunistic pricing amid the massive airfare surge due to Indigo crisis. Harsha, closely tracking on developments, joins us. Harsha, tell us more about how the government is now trying to control the situation. Republic TV has been relentless in its reportage on this blackmail economy, this profiteering from blackmail economy. Now government finally now is taking note and has urged the airlines not to take advantage of the customers.
So, Rakshita, government has now stepped into the skyrocketing price and the fare of the other airline operators, which are trying to fill in their pockets, especially the airlines like Air India Express, Akasa, and SpiceJet. They have just surged their prices, which is the unusual high price. Imagine Air India was earlier charging for some route, let's say 8,000 to 10,000. Now they are charging 35,000 to 44,000 for that particular route. Now the Ministry of Civil Aviation has stepped into this, and it has issued a directive and order to all the airline operators that they can't grab the opportunity of this crisis situation. This is not the time when they have to blackmail and fill in their pockets. Rather, they have to achieve confidence in the passengers. They have to come forward to help the passengers, give them the alternate flight when the entire country knows that how Indigo is facing the FDTLCAR 2 requirements crisis. At this time of the crisis situation, Air India is trying to, and other airlines as well, they're trying to profit in this situation. Now the directives have been issued. We have got to know that the officials from the Ministry of Civil Aviation has also, they have called the other airline operators like Air India, Express and SpiceJet, and have told them clearly that in the next 3 to 4 hours, the prices have to reduce. There is a proper capping which has to be done. The airlines can't be blackmailing and profiteering in this time of crisis, and that is the reason we have got to know that they will be monitoring again the rates of the prices in the next 1 hour, and in the next 1 hour, if the prices are not reduced, there will be one more round of meeting, and the umbrella order has been issued to all the airlines that they can't surge the prices. So we are expecting that by evening, or let's say by next 3 to 4 hours, the rates will reduce. But till now, there has been no capping. The prices show still what it was, like let's say 18 to 20 hours back. What the rates were earlier, they are increasing every second. Rakshita, if you'll go on any portal where you can book the flight, you will clearly see the flights you were trying to book for around, let's say, 12,000 or 15,000 for a particular destination. Now in the next half an hour, the rates have surged to 22,000, 25,000, some sectors 50,000. This is bizarre. This astonishing. Astonishing it is that how airline could be charging such huge amount, heavy amount from the passengers who are stranded at the airport, who are looking out for the alternate mode, how they can reach to a particular destination. Some are in emergency, some have to go. The passengers who have booked the tickets from, let's say last, they booked their tickets 2 months back, 3 months back. Why are they facing the brunt of the situation? They are not at fault. At this time, government have stepped in, but it's the responsibility of the aviation industry. It's the responsibility of the other airline operators also to come up and help the passengers rather than loot them in the time of the crisis. Let's see what happens, Rakshita, in the in next 1 to 2 hours. We are also continuously monitoring the situation. We are in touch with the officials of the regulatory body DGCA. We're also in touch with the officials of the TMU Traffic Tariff Monitoring Unit. The tariff monitoring unit has already received more than 20,000 to 30,000 written, oral, verbal, and the mail complaints as well. Now the monitoring is being done. What will happen? We'll also keep a close watch exactly by when the prices will reduce. Back to you.
Harsha, tell us about your surprise us with the latest situation, the latest update as far as the cancellation of the flights is concerned, because the cancellations still, continue from Chennai to Delhi. We are hearing about multiple flights still being cancelled, and there's more and more of extensions for from the airlines that when the operations will resume.
Right now, Rakshita, Indigo is flying with its, we can say minimist flying a flight they are operating right now. Let's say there was on daily basis there were 32 flights which used to fly from Chennai for the capital Delhi or to the other destinations. Right now almost 25 to 28 have been cancelled. Only 1 or 2 aircrafts of Indigo is flying. Same is the situation with Delhi. More than 50 cancellations to 70 cancellations have happened already, and the passengers are also being given full refund. But this point of time, even if they get the full refund, they are not able to book another flight in that full refund. The maximum of the passengers have booked their tickets for 7,000 to 8,000, but the destinations where they want to go to major revenue sectors, Lucknow, Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Pune, everywhere the other airline operators are charging 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. So they're not able to book the other flight as well. Even if I have to book a flight today, I will not want to book a flight for 44,000 to 50,000 one-way ticket. Who gives the one-way ticket for 50,000? The passengers are stranded, and right now what we have been told is that the situation doesn't seem to get better. Already Indigo has told to the Civil Aviation Ministry till by next year only the operation will normalize and stabilize. But for the next 3 to 4 days, the situation in the aviation crisis will remain the same intact as it is right now. And the minimal operation right now Indigo is doing. Indigo can't fly major aircrafts of its A320 fleet bus because of the lack of the crew, rostering issue, and the pilot issue as as well. However, DGCA has reduced the limitations, but still the problem seems to be intact as it was 48 to 72 hours before. So let's see what happens till when the situation will normalize, but it's not going to happen for the next 3-4 days. So the alternate solution is that the airline operators have to work in to reduce their prices so that these passengers who are stranded right now at the airport in different sectors, they can book alternate flight, but with a minimum cost. The cost doesn't have to surge or the skyrocket. That only the Civil Aviation Ministry and the regulatory body right now are focusing in. So let's see what happens. But the situation with Indigo will remain same for next 3 to 4 days. Back to you.
But what's happening on the front of refund? Because Indigo had somewhere, as if it was a favor being done to the consumers, announced that they will pay back. But what about the penalties? Is there? Won't we see any action also against these airlines? Because there has to be accountability for it, and there has to be an example also set, Harsha.
So, Rakshita, right now we have been told is that if the passengers want to cancel their flight after seeing the situation in the Indigo, they have to cancel their flight in the next 48 hours. Then let's say you want to cancel your flight. If it goes beyond 48 hours, 49 to 50 hours, you will be charged penalty, and that penalty is going to be heavy. They are going to charge a
Yes, Harsha,
cancellation.
just stay on with us. We have aviation expert Mr. Vipul Saxena joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Saxena, Republic TV has been relentless in its coverage and raising the questions that no one's asking. Sir. Now, finally, we see that government is waking up to at least taking note of the situation and asking the airlines to take, to not take advantage, of the consumers. What we have been seeing, there has been surge pricing, and this is now that this is being taken note of by the government, sir. So is that enough? What more can be done to battle the situation, sir?
Madam, I would ask the government one question. Is the taking note is good enough? How many times they will take the note of this situation? Because every time any crisis happens, the first thing all airlines do is hiking the fares, skyrocketing the fares. It has happened not for the first time. It has happened so many times. And every time Ministry of Civil Aviation says, we have taken the note, we have put the cap. Why can't there be a proper mechanism to regulate the fare fixing and fare monitoring? Why can't DGCA be given this responsibility also? Yeah. I think government has to wake up now and enforce and empower DGCA even to regulate and monitor and control the fares as a policy.
Yeah.
I think this is not good enough. This is not good enough. Government has to act upon it.
There has been an official directive issued to the airlines on the fare caps as far as...
After 3 days.
Yeah, that's what, sir, exactly.
In 3 days, people have already lost lakhs of money.
Yeah.
Then government is waking up and saying that we're taking the note and cap is implemented. Sorry. If there is a regulator for the safety, why can't regulator regulate the fares and also monitor them and regulate and control them?
Yeah, right, sir.
I think DGCA should be empowered for this also.
Absolutely, sir. Many thanks, Mr. Vipul Saxena, for joining us on Republic TV with your reaction. So you can see that there is outrage amongst everyone, from the experts to the common man. They've all, of course, raised concerns with the situation. There's an emergency situation, so to speak, as far as the aviation sector is concerned. And we will now get you a roundup of what has happened, viewers, with this this entire saga of cancellations unfolding, and Republic TV's expose on on what has happened. Ministry of Civil Aviation has also issued a statement assuring that all flight schedules will start stabilizing tonight. But we still are getting information, updates trickling in, that there could be cancellations till up to 10 December. There are so many updates that are coming, but the Ministry of Civil Aviation continues to show that the situation would come back to normal by tonight. Meanwhile, we are getting more updates as to it is expected that the situation could be normal by midnight tonight. And there is, of course, a question mark as to how is the government going to firefight this, because it's been more than 48 hours now. Here's a report on all that has transpired and the latest, viewers.
Indigo continues to struggle with massive operational disruptions, which initially started with minor technology glitches. Schedule changes linked to the winter season have had a domino effect and have now turned into an aviation disaster. Over 1,000 flights have been cancelled. Passengers are stranded at airports for hours. But the real question remains, how long will this situation persist?
There are old patients.
The Ministry of Civil Aviation has issued a statement assuring that flight schedules will start stabilizing tonight and full normalcy in flight operations is expected within the next couple of days. The ministry also said that Indigo Airlines, which is responsible for the aviation strain, will issue refunds for tickets of affected passengers. However, the central government has decided to institute a high-level inquiry to examine the matter. Meanwhile, the operational disruption is likely to be resolved in the next 2 days as DGCA has finally rolled back certain norms, including revised duty hours and leave policy for pilots. Earlier, under the now revised FTTL framework, the regulator had enforced a rule stating that no leave shall be substituted for weekly rest. The original rule required airlines to provide weekly rest and leave as separate entitlements, a move aimed at tackling pilot fatigue and prioritizing safety. Although the regulations were notified 18 months ago, Indigo has struggled to implement them seamlessly due to crew shortages. Indigo operates around 2,200 flights per day, the highest daily fleet operation compared to any other airline in the country. The Civil Aviation Ministry is monitoring the situation closely. However, the real question remains, will anyone be held accountable for this chaos?
After months of interrogation and forensic deep dives, the special investigation team is now all set to file the charge sheet in Assamese singer Zubin Garg's death. The SIT is set to file its charge sheet between December 6th and December 12th, ahead of the final December 18 deadline. As the investigation has completed, the SIT has compiled 3,500 pages of evidence, including testimonies, forensic reports, and financial documents. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma revealed that filing the charge sheet within the specified time frame is crucial, as any delay beyond December 18 could make the accused eligible for bail. From what began abroad as a tragic drowning incident, the state government now insists this is a murder case and justice must be swift.
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath paid floral tribute to Dr. B. Ambedkar at the Ambedkar Mahasabha office complex in Lucknow's Hazratganj on the Mahaparinirvan Divas, commemorating his death anniversary. Security has been heightened across Mathura on the anniversary of the 1992 Babri Mosque demolition. Krishna Janmabhoomi Shahi Eidgah Mosque has been turned into cantonment. SP Avanish Mishra says that anyone without a proper identity card and who isn't authorized to enter is constantly being checked. The force is on full alert and adequate force has been deployed.
देखिए कोई भी ऐसा व्यक्ति जिसके पास प्रॉपर पहचान पत्र नहीं है और जो वहाँ अंदर जाने के लिए जो ऑथराइज नहीं है उसकी लगातार चेकिंग की जा रही है। फोर्स पूरी तरह से अलर्ट है। विगत वर्षों की बात थी, पर्याप्त मात्रा में फोर्स लगाया गया है, पीएसी बल लगाया गया है, सीओज की, एडिशनल एसपी की, जैसे प्रत्येक वर्ष ड्यूटी लगती थी उसी तरीके की ड्यूटी लगाई गई है। सब पे पूरी सतर्कता रखी जा रही है, लगातार चेकिंग की जा रही है। जो भी सूचना मिल रही है सभी सूचनाओं को वेरीफाई किया जा रहा है। यातायात अभी चल रहा है, स्कूली बच्चे हैं, स्कूल जा रहे हैं, पूरी तरीके से नॉर्मल है। अभी डाइवर्जन किसी तरह यातायात का नहीं है।
At Tezpur University entered its 76th day against Vice Chancellor Professor Shambhunath Singh over alleged corruption charges against him. University professor said Government of India should not close their eyes, and we are hopeful that the Government of India will institute a high-level inquiry into such a corrupt person. A layer of toxic smog blankets the national capital yet again. As AQI around India Gate in Kartavya Pathway was recorded 311, categorized as very poor, as claimed by the Central Pollution Control Board. AQI around Ghazipur Mandi area 366, categorized as very poor, as claimed by the Pollution Board.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
Pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, ये तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा,
राजा प्योर मसाला, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
And it's a Republic TV Impact, viewers. 24 hours after Republic exposed the profit blackmail economy, the government invokes regulatory powers, asks the airlines not to extort the passengers. ED files charge sheet against Anil Ambani-related company in connection with fake bank guarantee case. SIT all set to file charge sheet in connection with Zubeen Garg death case. Charge sheet expected before the 12th of December. Delhi Police Economic Offences Wing issues notice to Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar in National Herald case, asks him to appear before it on the 19th of December. Clashes break out between Afghanistan and Pakistan near Spin Boldak border. 5 civilians killed, 5 injured in Afghanistan. Right, we start with breaking news coming in. This is first on Republic TV, viewers. ED, CBI teams are all set to travel to London, and this is in connection with the Nirav Modi case, because the hearing on Nirav Modi case is expected in London on the 16th of December. And now the ED and CBI teams are all set to head to the United Kingdom as this as the case against him and the extradition case particularly picks up pace. So joint ED and CBI team to travel to Mumbai on the 14th of December first, and thereafter the United Kingdom, ED and CBI joint team to counter Nirav Modi's claims. And hearing on Nirav Modi expected in London on the 16th of December. So that's a latest update in the Nirav Modi case, as Nirav Modi had cited lack of legal papers and sought adjournment of trial in the United Kingdom. And thereafter, the CBI decided to visit London for hearing in Nirav case. So the joint team of CBI and ED will be visiting London for Nirav Modi's extradition appeal hearing, as he has countered his claims of torture if sent to India. Joint team set to travel to London. First, they will be heading to Mumbai. And this is for the first hearing on Nirav Modi's appeal against his extradition to India. And the team will assist the Crown Prosecution Service in countering the fugitive Diamond Heir's claims that he risks torture if sent to India. Assertions that the agencies say are deceptive. People, of course, have assertions deemed deceptive by the agencies. So that's the breaking news we have right now. ED and CBI joint team will be assisting the Crown prosecution. And the Indian team will also argue that Nirav Modi has had a pattern of filing frivolous appeals to stall extradition. which has already been cleared by the United Kingdom courts, and that is bail applications have been rejected at least 10 times previously. Now, just going a little back, viewers, a plea by Nirav Modi to reopen his extradition case was admitted by a Westminster court in August this year, and the jailed fugitive alleged that if extradited, he will be interrogated by multiple agencies and he may face torture during investigation. So, to counter this, the Indian government had already sent a letter of assurance to London, a sovereign guarantee of sorts, saying that that Nirav Modi, in the event of extradition, will only face trial. So that has been made very clear by the Indian government that Nirav Modi will only be facing trial in India, won't be interrogated or taken into custody by any agency. That's the assurance that has been made. And now a joint team of CBI and ED travelling to London to assist the Crown prosecution in presenting evidence against Nirav Modi and argue that his claims of torture, based on which he seeks to reopen the entire extradition trial, are deceptive. And as the first hearing in this matter scheduled for 16th of December. Shambhavi joins us live on the broadcast for more. Shambhavi, tell us more details. The hearing is slated for 16th of December. Joint ED CBI team will be heading to United Kingdom.
Definitely a joint ED and CBI team is set to travel to London on December 14th. So the team will be basically the Crown Prosecuting Service in the Nirav Modi case. And when we understand the purpose of the business, this is basically Nirav Modi has made several claims that he'll face ill-treatment if extradited to India. So that Nirav Modi's case. And the Indian team, which will be going there, they will present evidence that these things are false. So that
There seems to be a problem with your audio, but many thanks, Shambhavi, getting us inputs on that story. So, Viewers Republic TV continues to closely track and get you the updates first on the Nirav Modi extradition case. Meanwhile, we have some more breaking news coming in, and this is coming in from near the India-Pakistan border in Bikaner, that's in Rajasthan. Now, Pakistan International Airlines marked air balloon has been found near the Indo-Pak border in Bikaner of Rajasthan. Now, that has raised security concerns. The security agencies are now on alert. You can see the visuals that have come in with that balloon, the PIA, that is Pakistan International Airlines. That is the balloon labelled with, and this was found near the border. And tensions rippling through the border belt of Khajuraho late Saturday night. Villagers finding this 6 SSM CSR sugar fields discovering, and okay, this is the 6 SSM CSR Jogan fields discovering an air balloon bearing the inscription Pakistan International Airlines. And this is a balloon that drifted from the direction of Pakistan, and its sudden appearance has triggered a swift response from local authorities and border security forces, and heightened the vigilance in the Rajasthan's frontier district. So this is coming in from the Indo-Pak border in Bikaner. And according to local residents, the balloon was first spotted lying in the fields of Siasar Chogan village, located barely a few kilometers from the international border. And villagers had immediately informed the village Sarpanch Khalil Khan, and realizing the potential sensitivity of the situation, Khan, the Sarpanch, promptly alerted the local police station and the nearest BSF post. And within minutes, the BSF and the teams from the Khajuraho police station reached the spot, cordoning off the area, launching a detailed inspection under high beam lights. Darkness shrouding the remote desert. And for hours, the security personnel examined the balloon, scanning for any suspicious attachments or payloads, especially in light of past instances where we have seen cross-border elements have used, aerial objects to transport contraband as well. Amid fears of infiltration and drone dropping along the India-Pakistan international border, the Jammu Kashmir police and BSF have launched a major search operation in the area. During the operation, police teams thoroughly checking riverbeds, streams and forested areas. Search was in area close to the Indo-Pak border in Damana area of Jammu. Parliament to hold special discussion on Vande Mataram in both houses scheduled in beginning in the Lok Sabha. According to sources, the Lok Sabha will hold a detailed discussion on Vande Mataram on Monday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will initiate the debate at 12 p.m., marking the formal beginning of the proceedings. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is scheduled to speak at the conclusion of the discussion. BJP has been allotted 3 hours for its participation in the Lok Sabha debate, while a total of 10 hours has been earmarked for the entire discussion. A Lokayukta inspector was burned alive after his car hit a divider and went up in flames on the outskirts of Annigeri town in the Dharwad district of Karnataka. The victim, identified as Inspector Salimat, serving with the Haveri Lokayukta office, was travelling from Gadak towards Hubali when the accident occurred on the national highway. His car reportedly rammed into the road divider and caught fire, leaving him trapped inside. By the time locals alerted authorities and fire personnel reached the spot, the vehicle was completely engulfed in flames. Car reduced to a charred shell. Kerala High Court gives interim protection from an arrest to Kerala Congress MLA Rahul Mamkutathil in a rape case and forced abortion case filed against him. The High Court will hear his anticipatory bail on the 15th of December. All right, we have breaking news coming in on the Zubeen Garg, the death. Okay, this is related to an order of the Assam government on the population and women empowerment policy of Assam Amendment 2025. This is the two-child policy of Assam. Candidates with more than two children will not be eligible for government jobs, and two children norms also to be followed for government schemes related to employment generation. Self-help group members having two children to be encouraged for grants. Maximum of 2 children mandate. Viewers, this is the government of Assam. People with more than 2 children won't be eligible for jobs. My colleague Anuruddha joins us on the broadcast for more. Anuruddha, tell us more details about this order, please.
Yes, the Assam population and women empowerment policy of 2025 amended version has been notified by the state government, and the state government has strictly decided to adhere to the two-child policy. The two-child policy will be followed in regards to government jobs. Apart from government jobs, there are 3 other parameters where the two-child norm will be followed. It is also applicable for government schemes which are targeted towards employment generation, and apart from that, the self-help groups where the members who are having not more than 2 child will be encouraged for grants. Apart from these 3 norms which has been applied in government jobs and self-help groups scheme, this two-child policy, two-child norm will also be followed in regards to the electoral reforms that have been brought, particularly in the local body elections, be it in the panchayat or in the municipality elections. A person having more than 2 child will not be eligible to contest the elections. It may be mentioned that this has been in practice for the last almost 2 terms in the state, but now the government has also notified it formally. This is a major development when it comes to the population control bill in the state of Assam, the population control policy of the state government. As far as all the measures are concerned, this is a major development that has been brought in by the state government. The two-child policy is also being seen as a major reform, a measure to also ensure child infant mortality and also empowerment of women and children. Raksita.
In fact, there have been some relaxations for certain communities as well. If you could just shed some light on that, Aniruddha.
Yes, if you can repeat the question, please, Raksita.
There have been relaxations for certain communities as well?
Yes, the scheduled tribe communities and certain scheduled caste communities have been exempted from this new order that has been issued. Apart from that, the Motok community has also been exempted, and also in 6 scheduled areas there will be certain relaxation as far as the tribal communities of the state are concerned, or the T tribes, where in certain cases where the population of the communities are very less compared to the overall state population, then these communities or these tribes are exempted from the purview of this order, Rakshita.
Right. Thanks so much, Arnab, for joining us with those details coming in, because I think we have some breaking news coming in connection with Indigo. Now, the government has directed Indigo to clear all pending passenger refunds without delay, without rescheduling charges. So this is one of the concerns that have been raised. Republic TV continue to get voices of the people. Now, government has been forced to act today. And now Indigo gets a 8 p.m. deadline today till Sunday, that is tomorrow, to clear funds. Indigo to refund all cancelled and disrupted flights without delay, without rescheduling charges. Indigo asked to clear all pending passenger refunds immediately. And Indigo gets Sunday's 8 p.m. deadline to refund all passengers. And Indigo has been asked to refund for all the cancelled or even the disrupted flights. So government now pushed to act finally, and this is the Republic TV Impact story. Indigo now getting this the deadline till tomorrow to refund all passengers for the cancellations and disruption of the flight. Shambhavi brings us more details. Shambhavi, over to you. Shambhavi, can you hear me? All right, I think Shambhavi is not with us, but viewers, this is the Republic TV story close as we expose the profit blackmailing economy and how this disruption and cancellation led to the surge in fare as well, while these passengers were stranded and they were left in the lurch, and their hard-earned money, of course, that was also stuck with the airlines. They were pocketing profit as well, not just the flights that have been cancelled, but also there has been further extortion now. Shambhavi is back with us. Shambhavi, tell us more details, please, about this government's direction to Indigo to clear the refund to all the passengers who have been bearing the brunt of these cancellations. Okay, we will connect with the experts or... Okay, we are getting in more information. Government directing Indigo to clear all pending passenger refunds without delay and without rescheduling charges. Indigo asking to clear all pending passenger refunds immediately, viewers. This is a situation that has been unfolding for the past 72 hours only, and the government has been finally pushed to act. First, it gave in to the arm twisting tactics of Indigo Airlines, as thousands of passengers across the length and breadth of the country suffered, and then the refund. They await refund. They are seeking updates. But now the government compelled to act after Republic TV's expose. There is a surge pricing that the common man is facing. At the same time, those who have suffered because of the cancellations, they should also get their money back. Really keep a close eye on that aviation crisis that we have been closely tracking for you, viewers. Now shifting focus to what's been happening in Assam, viewers. This is in connection with the Zubeen Garg death case. The special investigating team is now ready to submit the charge sheet in the singer's death case. In fact, Chief Minister of Assam, Himanta Biswa Sarma, has said that the government, that the SIT formed by the government will be submitting the charge sheet by the 12th of December. Here's more on that.
After months of interrogation and forensic deep dives, the special investigation team is now all set to file the charge sheet in Assamese singer Zubeen Garg's death. The SIT is set to file its charge sheet between December 6th and December 12th, ahead of the final December 18 deadline. As the investigation has completed, the SIT has compiled 3,500 pages of evidence, including testimonies, forensic reports, and financial documents. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma revealed that filing the charge sheet within the specified time frame is crucial, as any delay beyond December 18 could make the accused eligible for bail. From what began abroad as a tragic drowning incident, the state government now insists this is a murder case and justice must be swift.
All right, we have some breaking news coming in, viewers, after Vladimir Putin's visit to India. Now, what we are getting to know is that Russian military hardware and spare parts for Indian military will be manufactured in India. Russia has agreed to encourage joint manufacturing in India of military hardware and spare parts for maintenance of Russian origin arms and defense equipment. Now, this, of course, comes as a major boost to Atmanirbharta in defense, ways to bolster overall bilateral defense cooperation, figuring prominently during the summit talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin. And it's been a long-standing grievance of the armed forces. Remember that the supply of critical spares and equipment from Russia takes a long time, and it thereby affects the maintenance of military systems procured from that country. Okay, defense expert Major Samar Baltu joins us on the broadcast for more. Major Tur, well, this is a major boost for Atmanirbharta, and the fact that the fact that now there will not be much of delay after this step is taken, and now the spare parts are manufactured in India, sir. This also comes as a big relief for the Indian Armed Forces. Okay, we'll just go across Major Tur once we get the line fixed there. But this is a major move coming in, viewers, from Sukhoi 57 to S-400. Everything has been on the table. Okay, I'm told that defense expert Major Samar Baltu is back with us. Major Samar Baltu, Russian military hardware, spare parts for Indian military, all will be manufactured in India, sir. How does how does it become a relief for the Indian Armed Forces, sir?
Well, Rakshita, you see, we've been using the Russian platform since 1971 and maybe a bit prior to that. So all our weaponry is mainly been dependent on the Russian technology and the Russian know-how. And, we have also created the BrahMos missiles, which has been a joint effort by the Russians and the Indians. And now we are coming up with a longer range of BrahMos with a 450-kilometer range up to 800-kilometer long range BrahMos. So all these BrahMos 2 is coming, the next generation BrahMos is coming, the S-400 is there for the Sudarshan Chakra, then we have the R-37M missile, which is a hypersonic missile. So all these are going to be, in fact, R-37M is going to be deployed onto the Sukhoi 30 MKI, and then there's the upgradation of Sukhoi 30 MKIs. So you see, there is a very large arsenal of Russian equipment that we have, including small arms, which includes the AK-203 series. So I think it is the best way forward that if we are totally into a certain weapon system platform belonging to a certain nation, so I think it is wise that both collaborate and set up a team and a mechanism in which we can contribute to each other, be it in Russia or be it in India itself, so as to improve onto the technology, the metallurgy, the material sciences, the stealth technology, the ballistics, the metallurgy. So there is so much of scope, right from space, health to military. And I think this is going to be the most troubling issue for President Trump and the Western nations who were wanting to sell their weapon systems to India. But the wise decision made by India is to improve the present weapon platforms, especially after the Russia-Ukraine war. The Russian equipment is now battle-hardened, war-tested, and is up to the mark as per today's times and technology. So I think this is a positive way ahead.
Right, sir. Major Tur, many thanks for joining us with your analysis of this development. Coming in, viewers, that's a major boost for Atmanirbharta and defense, also for Bharat, and of course, it helps the Indian Armed Forces in a big way with the Russian the spare parts, and also for Indian mechanisms also being manufactured in India after the visit of the Russian President Vladimir Putin. UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath pays a floral tribute to the B.R. Ambedkar at Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar Mahasabha Office Complex in Lucknow's Hazratganj, and Mahaparinirvan Divas commemorating his death anniversary. Security has been heightened across Mathura on the anniversary of the 1992 Babri mosque demolition. Krishna Janmabhoomi Shahi Eidgah Mosque in Mathura have been turned into a cantonment. Now, SP Avnish Mishra said that anyone without a proper identity card and who is not authorized to enter is constantly being checked. The force is on full alert and an adequate force has been deployed. Protests at Tezpur University entered their 76th day against Vice-Chancellor Professor Shambhunath Singh over alleged corruption charges against him. University professors said Government of India should not close their eyes, and we are hopeful that the Government of India will institute a high-level inquiry into such a corrupt person. A layer of toxic smog blankets the national capital yet again as AQI around the India Gate in Kartavya Path is 311, categorized as very poor, as claimed by Central Pollution Control Board. AQI around Ghazipur Mandi area is 366, categorized as very poor.
सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा, राजा और प्योर मसाला।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
Pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
Security.
Some of the sharpest minds in Indian finance as they decode the new India trade book, the emerging opportunities and challenges shaping the next phase of India's market journey. Let's welcome our esteemed panelist, Mr. Ashu Madan, Managing Director, JM Financial, and Mr. Dinshaw Rani, Founder, Helios Capital, in conversation with Mr. Pranav Kulkarni, Editor of Republic Business.
Thank you very much for coming all the way from Bombay and from Gurgaon. And thank you very much for being here with us. Catching up from where, we were both listening to Mr. Nawani talking, and he was talking about Gen Z. And in fact, we also were talking about Gen Zs and their approach towards investing. I want to get started with you, Ashu. What is it with this COVID trading generation? You were talking about a COVID trading generation. Could you elaborate on what do you mean by that, actually?
Yeah, I just learned a couple of jargons today. We were talking about Gen Z, so it was Gen Alpha, Gen Beta.
Yeah, even
I don't know, it could be Gen Gamma, Delta also will come. I don't know about it. But thanks to the speaker, I could learn few new jargons. So Gen Z, I just club them with the theme of long term, which has generally been the theme of, last many years of, ever since we have been into the markets, and you would have heard Rhythm also talking about investing. So thematically, it has always been long term. But looking at Gen Z, the current generation, which is a COVID generation, because 20 years we were struggling. We were struggling in the markets to have the participation. I still remember in 2000, we used to talk about that there's a huge penetration headroom available in India because of huge household saving and a fraction of household savings in the market. So there's a huge headroom available, 2000, 2005, 2010, 2015. For 20 years, we were struggling to get that participation in the market. What COVID did, nobody could do. Last 20 years, not that there were not initiatives by the government, everything was there, but what COVID did to the market, bringing in so many investors, because when COVID started, everything was shut, only markets were open. So that is the generation which entered the market. Now, currently, my only concern with Gen Z, or probably the current generation, I would say, I won't call them Gen Z, I would say it's a swipe generation.
Okay.
I mean, it's a swipe generation, and we are also becoming a kind of swipe generation. I'll give you one example. I mean, the real life examples that currently everything is becoming digital, and we have become, I mean, addicted to that. Not we have become habitual, we have become addicted to that. Right from the Blinkit to everything, what we do is 10 minutes, everything. I have real-time examples. If we book Uber, it shows 8 minutes. If it doesn't come in 10 minutes, bhaiya kahan ho? We immediately call, bhaiya kahan ho? So if you have ordered a Zomato, 20 minutes delivery, 22 minutes we call the rider, bhaiya kahan ho? And if there's a reel we are watching, if it's beyond one minute, I mean, we feel impatient that this is too long a reel, we can't, I mean, that's too long. Right. That has become the social construct. I mean, the life, I mean, it is actually, that has become a social construct. So my only concern is in light of this, the definition of long term will also change. Right. What will it become? How will it become? It is a question mark. Probably Dinsha will...
Yeah, that's where, in fact, I want to ask you. This whole, we were talking and you said long-term investing is actually a myth. I really want you to elaborate this.
Well, let me elaborate a bit. So basically, first of all, thank you for having me out here on the India Economic Summit and in this lovely campus. It's fantastic. But anyway, let me continue with the long-term thesis. Now, the fact is that long-term, according to us, has been invented, that term has been invented to fool that gullible investor into believing that, look, you made short-term losses, but in the long term, you'll make profits. It doesn't work, right? So how do you overcome that? Actually, we don't believe in long-term. We always say that a long-term has to be a series of short terms which adds up to a long term, right? Okay. Now, just to explain that further, now, suppose you bought a stock, right? By the way, in India, since long term is at least not possible, right? Because we're such a dynamic economy that things change, right? And an emerging economy like ours, things change overnight, literally, right? So you have to now, what you got to do is, when you've taken a position, you got to review your position every 3 to 6 months, right? And that's what we do internally also. We tell our analysts to come and refresh our view. And every 3 to 6 months, if we're convinced on that position, we carry it forward, right? And that's how you build up the long term. 3-6 months, adding up to a long term. That's how you overcome it. There's no other way of doing it.
So Ashu, what's your take on this? Because you wanted to add on this specific aspect.
See, there's a micro reason which I said that the social construct has changed. There's a macro reason also. I mean, now the global economies are linked. I mean, everything is linked. The competition is fierce. There are no sacred models. I mean, if there's an Ola, there's another Uber coming on the way. There's a Rapido coming, and then there's a Blue, which has shut down also. So these models will become successful also, and they probably will have threat of survival also. The competition will be very severe. Technology, ever-changing, technology can play havoc. So the definition of long-term has to change. I think, as Dinsha rightly said, it suits certain section. So that is why probably it is more convenient, it is more safe, or probably it is less accountable also to talk about long-term. Otherwise, if you talk about test match also, I mean, test match led to 50 over game and 50 over T20, and now I've heard that Super 6 is 6 over. So that is why that even that has changed. In a test match, you cannot say that I will play on a 5th day. Let's see what happens on the 5th day. You have to go session by session. So probably that is the simile I can say what Dinsha was saying, that you have to keep. You cannot remain passive with your portfolio, which used to be the case 30 years back, 20 years back, that my father bought Hindustan Lever or ITC or Asian Paint or whatever, and it kept on multiplying. I mean, today the models can change. You have seen that Asian Paint was down 30%, I mean, with such a comfortable position. So that's where I believe that this has to be addressed, and one has to adapt, evolve, and what will be the current challenges to the market in the light of this. See, Rhythm was talking about macro factor. I would say for me, biggest macro factor in last 10 years, what has changed for India is not the macro numbers stability, the political stability. All along, I mean, 30 years in the market, Dinshan can say there was a time when, because of the coalition government or because of XYZ reason, I mean, policy paralysis or whatever you used to talk about, there was always something missing. And what this current government has given, I mean, this stability, government with a mission, government with a vision, I mean, things have changed very positive for India, and that is why we've seen this kind of a participation and where we have reached, and not to miss today's GDP numbers also. So that, in that construct, things are very fine, very good, very nice. But I mean, long-term thing will not happen because you will get good opportunities, good spikes like 22 to 23, 24. Too good to be true profit was there in the market. But I think it is very important to, profit in the bank also.
Absolutely. Dinshaw, in fact, just we got the GDP numbers today. How does, from an investor point of view, how do these GDP numbers translate into real profit, real money in the bank for an Indian investor? What do we need to do as retail investors or as Indian institutional investors? How do you look at these numbers?
So, okay, Pranav, let me just point out this logo which I got.
I saw that.
Embroidered just for the IES, okay?
Okay.
And it's a saffron bull riding a crescent sun, okay? The fact is that what I want to portray out here is that it's India's day in the sun. There's going to be a bull run and nobody can stop it, right? The GDP print that you saw today of 8.2%, actually, I was also a bit taken aback. I mean, as in the numbers were fantastic. And one thing that I want to highlight out here is for this quarter, why they are fantastic is that this quarter had a month of demand getting pushed out. If you guys remember, the rationalization, GST rationalization was announced on 15th of August, and actual implementation happened on 22nd of September. 1 month postponement, and despite that, you saw these numbers. I'm sure, as I was telling you the earlier time also, that the World Bank revised their numbers for India because first time around, when they saw the Q1 GDP numbers, they cut down the Q2 till Q4 numbers onwards, just to make sure that, okay, we don't go overboard. But with this 8.2% print, I don't have any doubts that not only the World Bank, but the world will get up and start looking at India again. And having said that, how do the investors capitalize on this? I think the best way to do is, and by the way, according to us, investing is not a hobby. It's a full-time job. So in case you don't have the time to devote to investing, leave it to the professionals. Go with the funds, go with mutual funds, go with professional managers, go with distributors who can advise you on where to invest and stuff like that. I think that's the best way of playing it. Do not try to do it individually. As I said, that you cannot just buy a stock and forget. You have to keep reviewing regularly, which if you don't have the time to do, don't do it. Come to managers.
I would really, request you to show that saffron bull for the camera because it's still not visible.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
What are the, so it's saffron and it's a bull, so that's bullish because of a particular...
And in the sun.
And in the sun. What are the elements of this saffron bull? What are the underlying things that make this saffron bull so, the success story of India? What are those elements? Both of you, please.
So, okay, let me go first. I'll just take your permission for that. So, the fact is that what I'm pretty excited about is the crowd sitting out here. All the generation Zs and Alphas to come later. But today, if you look at the labor pool, around a shade less than 30% is pre-millennials. I mean, the guys born before 80s, right? And thank God for that. Because we were, and I'm a pre-millennial, okay? I don't have any shame in saying that. But the fact is that we are born up on a diet of staple dialogues like पाँव उतने लंबे करो जितनी चादर हो और बूंद बूंद से घड़ा भरता है and stuff like that. Basically, do not go beyond your means, period. Don't borrow. Borrow was a taboo. Borrowing money was, taking a loan was a taboo, right? And look at what happened afterwards. The millennials have no shame in borrowing money. They love, in fact, Generation Z, one of them was asking about work-life balance. That's it. I can't imagine myself at that age looking at a work-life balance. I was more of, how do I get more money, right? So, and these guys are now looking at leveraging their earnings, and that's what India needs, frankly. You don't need savings. You need to leverage those savings and work on those, right? So that's what is needed. In fact, I remember going through, sitting through one of the stand-up comedians, and there was and I'll repeat what he said. He said, I got my first salary home, and I told my dad that, look, my salary is come, now I'm going to borrow money and I'm going to buy a bike. And his dad told him, beta, start a FD. So he told his dad that, look, I can't sit on a FD and go on a date, right? I need to have a bike for that. And that's the attitude. I love that attitude. I think this is what's going to drive it. Fortunately for us, around 38% of the labor force today is Generation Z, and it's growing. What do they bring to the table? They bring, obviously, the fact that they look at brands as a way of expressing themselves. the woman participation in labor is what has gone up. And by the way, we men are useless in some way or the other, because it's been proven that if there's a working woman in a household, she's more brand conscious than a man is. We always look at discounts, and women do not. They look at price-quality relationship, and that's what helps. Formalization of economy. I mean, it's fantastic what's going to happen in the future. I think for the next decade, I don't have any doubts that India's GDP will be fastest growing going forward.
Okay. Ashu, what's your take on this?
So, I mean, I travel length and breadth of the country, and not just metros. I mean, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I mean, the smallest of cities possible. So what is very encouraging is the acceptance of market as a market as an investment tool, understanding the market. Everybody wants to be in the market in some way or the other. So that is very encouraging, and that shows the kind of penetration and now understanding. The only thing is how to bridge the last mile, which I think mutual funds are doing excellently.
But then I have, we're talking about the Gen Zs here, and he was talking about patience and not having patience. I would want to ask you, then, if there is someone sitting here who says, okay, I can do FNO, I can make more money, I can just buy a call of 2,000 rupees or a put of 2,000 rupees, and then that can turn into 2 lakh within minutes.
Yes.
How do you want to give your words of wisdom to that investor who's impatient and who does have avenues of earning more through these calls? And
so again, cricketing example, test match was investing, and monthly expiry is 50-over match, weekly expiry is T20. So everybody wants to play T20 in the market because that's glamorous, that's fancy, that's exciting. But my serious advice you would have seen that SEBI report where 90% of traders have lost money in derivatives. But for me, the key takeaway from that report was the 90% people who lost money, the average ticket size was 1 lakh, which shows the kind of money people have deployed in that market to play like a video game. Because a discount brokerage or a free brokerage, or it's easily available on an app, you're playing market like a Dream 11. Please don't do that. So for derivatives, if you ask me, is there a way to make money in derivatives? My answer is 100% yes. For investing, you need patience. For trading, you need discipline. So that discipline comes by experience or knowledge and education about derivatives, which is very limited to the majority of people. And that's my concern, is that is where SEBI is concerned about. So in a very crude way, I would say it needs a discipline and capital also. So my sincere advice to all the people who think that it is the easiest way to make money, it is the most difficult way to make most easy money in the market. And my one very crude way of presenting to them is, explaining them is, derivatives is one market जो अमीर को अमीर बना सकता है, गरीब को अमीर नहीं बना सकता. You have to have a sufficient capital to play in derivatives, otherwise it is a zero-sum game for you. Otherwise you win some, you lose some, but that way derivatives are a very difficult market.
Okay. But then, Dinshaw, as someone who has seen the market so closely, as someone who looks at, as someone who's witnessed how India looks at markets as a way of making money, is there really an easy way to make money, or a short way of making money? No, or wealth building, rather, to put it in a sophisticated manner? Yeah,
there is one way. You can give your money to Helios Mutual Fund and they'll be. So, but more seriously, on a more serious note, investing is all about elimination first, okay? And why I'm saying that is because actually in life it is very easy to identify what is bad. If I say that Ashu is a very good man, probably if you ask me why do you think he's a good man, and I'll tell you that probably because he doesn't sin, he doesn't steal, he doesn't fight, he doesn't abuse and stuff like that, right? All these factors are bad. So you know what is bad in life. Purely by eliminating bad, you come to a pool which is probably good. In investing also, that's how it works. There are bad managements, there are bad valuations, there are bad themes, there are bad accounting, bad corporate governance. Keep eliminating on those bases, and what you're left with is a pool that probably is not the best pool that you have, but it'll obviously take away the obvious bads from your vision, and you'll have a pool where the strike rate is much higher. But as I said, once again, this is not an easy task. You need a lot of experience. Like he said, that investing is all about experience, right? This is where it comes from. You just can't look at a man and say, oh, he's bad, because I don't like his face, right? You need to know his history, how he invested capital during times of growth, how he was borrowing during the times of recession and stuff like that, and take a call on the management. So for that, you need professional guys doing it. And as I said, that I think ideally, an individual who wants to be regularly invested in a market, he should probably go with a manager who has been regularly churning his portfolio around, making sure that the NAV keeps moving up. I think that's how it is. So,
if I have to ask you, what is, I mean, looking at the India story from where we are sitting right now, the saffron bull, if we talk about, which are those specific sectors that both of you are bullish on going forward for the next about 5 years?
So should I take that first? Yep. Thank you. So actually, what India is going to do, there are a couple of other economies which have done it in the past, right? So if you rip off from their sheets of history, if you will, say a US or a China or a Germany or a Japan, when they saw this kind of a run that India is going to see, I mean, Japan was in, I think, in the 80s, China was in 2000s, mid of 2000 onwards, they started 2010s. US was 70s and stuff like that, yeah? So if you look at the sectors that did very well, were basically two. One was consumption, the second one was finance. Right? Finance could be banks, financial services, insurance, and other ancillaries, right? Why they did so well? Because consumption is the only way forward for an economy to grow. External exports or infra can only help you that much. China learned it the hard way, right? I mean, they did a fantastic job in the 90s, but in the 2000s, when they realized that they're stagnating, they let the consumption bull run through their own population as such. And by 2005, I think their GDP per capita was $2,600 or so. And then came 7, where it was $3,500, $3,600. Basically, the consumption just took off. And that was what led to that hockey stick curve in China. And I don't have any doubts that India is going to do the same, right? The internal consumption is what is going to drive it. We have an existing consumer base of 350 to 400 million consumers. They're all sitting out here, by the way. And these are aggressive consumers, right? They're not like as I again said, the pre-millennials who didn't want to spend out of the means. They want to go and leverage. So we're talking about a very massive base. I mean, we're talking about a population which is bigger than US put together, or the EU region itself, more than that. So that's a huge consumer base. So that's what's going to drive it. And why BFSI? I mean, banking, financial services, and insurance. Because that is what is going to fund that consumption. This is what is needed. So I have no doubt. And by the way, when I say consumption, it's not FMCG, right? It's more of discretionary, more of healthcare, more of hospitality, tourism, and stuff like that. And why not FMCG? Because as I always say, that just because you earn more doesn't mean that you will brush your teeth 4 times a day or take a bath 5 times a day, right? You can only do that much. But you'll go and buy new clothes, you'll go and buy new houses, new cars, and stuff like that. Yes, that's what I feel. So.
So I'll just extend what Dinsha said. I mean, in same thematically, absolutely same. The only thing he has answered in a conventional way, I would say, so anything which is aggregating the population, which is consumption only, but I'm presenting in a different way. Anything which is aggregating the population and digital. That is why, whether it is Paytm or Nykaa or Eternal, or maybe aggregating the population, it could be exchange, where everyone is investing today, the BSC, or probably Indigo. You love it, you love them or hate them, but you can't avoid them. Or maybe hotel tourism. I mean, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara theme. So that theme is a consumption theme, and wherever the aggregation is of population is happening, and the way forward is digital. Those are the sectors which can really perform well. Only the risk involved is, there's no stock recommendation, my disclaimer, but the only risk involved is basically because they are highly competitive in nature, and as I said, that they are not there forever. The competition is fierce, so there would be absolutely great spikes and good tenures which you'll get to make good money, but don't, close your eyes and sleep over it. Money in the bank is the real money. So it's a consumption theme, but I would be more on a digital side who are aggregating the population, and the population itself is a great, input for them.
Okay. One final question, Dinshaw, you were mentioning in the afternoon, while you said that long-term investing is a myth, in a way that nobody ever asks those investors when to withdraw money. What is the right time to actually withdraw your invested money? I have put in money, it is multiplying. When is that moment when I'm going to actually withdraw my money? Okay, this is appreciated, this has become big, now I need to withdraw. When does that moment come? In any investor's life?
Well, the market is driven by greed and fear. So it's always a big question when you want to be greedy and when you want to fear the markets, right? So that's how it is. But frankly, I mean, if you go with a professional guy, a professional manager, I mean, I remember when we were starting off a mutual fund way back in 23, and the question that I was going on being asked by most of the investors was, when do you redeem from a mutual fund? And I was thinking, why are they saying this? And then that's when I realized that they're worried because they just see the NAV. They don't see the churn behind that NAV, the kind of effort that goes in behind that NAV. And that's when we said, okay, we'll disclose you a portfolio every month, which is mandatory anyways. Now, what that shows to that investor is that, look, your NAV is moving because the manager is constantly taking calls on the investments. He's selling out the ones which he thinks are expensive or which have overdone themselves or where he's made a mistake. He's getting into newer stocks which he believes are underpriced or which he believes there's a growth story pending to happen going forward. There's a value discovery going to happen. So this kind of a churn, if you see your manager doing it regularly with a NAV upgrade, I think you never need to withdraw your money from there. That's why I always say that an individual stock can disappoint you, but a portfolio managed properly cannot, because here you're developing, when you develop a portfolio, you're basically trying to get these stocks which are going to run a marathon, right? But in a relay fashion. Obviously, there'll be some set of leaders which will try out at some point in time, but you need to have the second set ready to take over the baton from these leaders and run in the lead once they are tiring out. Give them some time to breathe so they come back into the lead again. That's how we develop a portfolio, and that's how we should be going with it. Thank you.
Ashu, we keep reading your JM Financial. In fact, read a lot of briefs. Rhythm Desai today gave a number. He says Sensex will touch 107,000. Can you would you want to probably share what kind of returns any investor, any Indian investor can expect over the next 5 years, 6 years, 10 years? Not a promise. Obviously, SEBI is there monitoring. We cannot promise any numbers. But from an analyst point of view, looking at history, can you say?
No, even SEBI is not watching. I mean, this is a very difficult question to answer. I think I will, I will say over to Dinshaw. But generally, I'm saying I'm very optimistic of making money in the market. The routing could be different. I mean, it has to be a perfect mix of probably trading, investing in a combination of all the products available. There is no thumb rule, no sacred model, as I said. And the only discipline which I believe that when to invest, you were asking Dinshaw, is I believe in a pyramid kind of an investing. So it should be a pyramid investing, when to withdraw the money, when the markets are down and out, when nobody is interested in that, when there's distress all across. That's where you should invest the maximum. And when there's a euphoria, when the narrative is that last year, mutual funds are sitting on 1.5 lakh crore of cash. SIP is at the highest, monthly SIP is the highest ever in the last 20 years. How the hell can market go down? Market still did go down. We have seen the correction, and today also the new high of 26,200 then and 26,200 now is very different. I mean, people are not celebrating as much as it was that time because of the money being made in the stocks. And today, if I say 61% of stocks listed have given negative returns till last year, in spite of hitting new high. So pyramid investing, but normally in our kind of a market, what happens is it is the reverse pyramid. You start with 100 rupees, you get complacent and you keep investing more, and when the euphoria is at the peak, you are at the highest investment. Right. So the only discipline which I follow for investor is stay invested forever or for long term, because you are in this business, but keep churning the size of your portfolio.
Right.
Size of the portfolio, and that is the pyramid or the reverse pyramid. That discipline is very important, which I follow diligently since last 20, 30 years, and that is what has helped me.
Sorry.
Should I take a strike at that?
Yeah, please.
So basically, last 20-25 year average growth in our index growth is around 13%, okay? This is all history, right? But as SEBI tells us to say, that past performance is no indication of future, right? So let's keep that in mind. But that 13% came because our nominal growth, GDP growth, was around 10.5, 11 odd percent, right? 6.5% of GDP growth plus 4.5% of your inflation, right? So nominal GDP was around 10.5, 11%. The index growth was at 13, mainly because index doesn't have this composition called agri, right? Agri growth was much lower than the GDP growth, and that's the reason why the index, which is composing some mainly of manufacturing and services, grows slightly higher than the GDP growth. If the GDP growth continues the way it is, I don't have any problems in saying that this is what the kind of growth you'll see, early teens kind of growth. And frankly, I mean, if it's going to grow higher, the GDP has to grow higher. That's how it's going to be. So.
Okay. One final question to both of you is that we've seen all the rise that over the past about a few months from September to once again to hit a fresh high has all been driven by domestic investors, all DII, all mutual funds. I mean, the retail investor, whatever the in-house investor. If we really see the foreign institutional investor return, do we see that happening now? Is the FII finally back, and will that be a reason to fuel a further rally in the market? Both of you as concluding remarks on this.
So they moved out sometime from October of last year, right? The reason was that our earnings growth were dipping and our valuations are very high, right? That was what happened. In fact, September of last year was the first quarter of negative growth after a very long time, right? Obviously, that panicked them and they started moving out of India as such. And now look at the quarter gone by, right? September. I think that was the first quarter which gave an indication of growth. And frankly, I mean, 8.2% GDP is a reflection of that, right? So if you look at the composition of NSE 500, right, 100 stocks are large cap in that 500. Those 100 stocks grew, the earnings of those 100 stocks grew at 10%. That's large cap universe. You look at the 150 mid caps that are there in the 500, that 150 mid caps grew, their earnings grew at 25%. I'm talking about this quarter. And then come to the last set of 250 stocks, which are small caps. They grew at 37%. These are mind-blowing numbers. They're not small numbers. Again, let me remind you, 1 month was lost because of demand getting pushed out, right? So despite that, you saw those numbers. Now, what has happened is India has massively underperformed the MSCI Emerging Market Index, right? The peak underperformance was 30%. Today, we are at around 20% underperformance. Normally in history, one has seen that whenever these underperformances happen, the rebound also is pretty high. I'm not sure when it's going to happen. But that's mainly driven by FIs coming back, because today our forward PEs are much more reasonable. Our premiums are down to reasonable levels, and the earnings growth are kicking in. So I have no doubts that they'll come back.
Wonderful.
So Pranav, I would say that very optimistic, because one, consolidation has happened in the last 1 year. Weaker hands are out. India is in a sweet spot. Earnings are turning around. So everything is in favor. But the only thing which is the caveat is, in spite of that, I mean, at times we feel frustrated that everything is good. India is in a sweet spot. Why are they selling? I mean, you don't get a very credible answer. But I think the reason is, it is because they are opportunists. And elsewhere in the world, they are making more money. So till that phenomena continues, I think we should be hopeful, wishful, and maybe at some point in time, we get a very positive surprise and things turning around. But I think for me, the biggest reason is that irrespective of all the positives with India, whether it is economy, government's vision, mission, and markets, corporates doing very well, but as an investor or a trader, they are making more money somewhere else, which is what is hampering an infusion of capital or the things turning around. So I think that is something to be watched for.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thanks a lot for being with us and sharing your wisdom, not just with people here, but our audience on television broadcast as well as social media and digital. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
जीरा मसाला सिप सिप जीरा सिप इंग्लिश का जीरा सिप केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी
सफल बनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च।
सिक्योरिटी
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Government directs Indigo to clear all pending passenger refunds without delay and without rescheduling charges by Sunday 8 p.m. Fares have been capped after Republic reported how passengers were being extorted. Indigo cancellations continue for the fifth day. Over 400 flights cancelled on Saturday morning. Indigo passengers across different airports lose their cool, get into heated arguments with airline staff amid the nationwide aviation chaos, which continues. ED-CBI team all set to corner Nirav Modi in London. They will be heading to London on the 14th of December. Delhi police issues notice to Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar in the National Herald case, asks him to appear before the Economic Offences Wing on the 19th of December. And ladies and gentlemen, more and more people are questioning the government and the government decision to put the FDTL rules in abeyance to help Indigo get back on track. They decided to bend Indigo 1, and pilots' bodies are now speaking out, condemning the freeze on the FDTL norms. Pilot body ALPA has issued an official press release after the Ministry of Civil Aviation decision to place the FDTL in abeyance, saying this is a move that contradicts code directions and delays critical fatigue risk safeguards for passengers and pilots. They've issued a press release talking about how the government has caved in, expressing deep concern that this step directly contradicts the court's directions, which mandates enforcement of fatigue mitigation standards rooted in aviation science. Keeping the FDTL in abeyance not only undermines judicial authority, but also places pilots and passengers at heightened risk by delaying essential fatigue protections, asking the ministry and the regulator to uphold the court's order in both letter and spirit and to prioritize the safety of the pilots and travelling public above all commercial consideration. Shambhavi is joining us live with more details. Shambhavi, pilots' bodies not happy. with what is happening. Different pilot bodies are speaking out. Now, tell us more about the FDTL and for how long the government plans to keep it in abeyance.
So basically from the ALPA's statement, we can see that pilots are clearly unhappy. And when we talk about FDTL, this is basically rules which governs that how many hours a pilot can fly, how many hours a pilot should take rest, or how the airlines should govern or should regulate the working hours of pilots. So ALPA's stance here is that basically putting these rules on hold would mean that you're going against the court's directions. You're going against the court's directions regarding the working hours of pilots. Because ultimately putting these rules on hold would mean that that would affect the safety of the passengers as well as the pilots. Putting these rules which governs the working hours to make sure that pilots are not being overworked, which will again result in hazardous conditions for both passengers and pilots. So this would go against everything that court has directed or what FDTL was planned. The phase 2 of FDTL was to make sure that the working hours are time bound and that the airlines are taking accountability of setting the roster system in a way that the pilots and the crew are not overworked. So you can clearly see from all the statement or even ALPA's statement after this decision of Ministry of Civil Aviation that the pilots are clearly very unhappy that the FDTL rules are being put on hold. Back to you.
All right. And as we get you that breaking news update, ladies and gentlemen, getting in different reports, videos, pictures from airports, passengers continue to face hurdles. And many airports, many of them in fact have been waiting since yesterday. Some of them say they're coming back for a 4th consecutive day. 3 days, flights cancelled. For a 4th time, they're trying to board their flight. Many have been unsuccessful. Here are some of the sound bites that came in from different airports across India, which are hit by the Indigo chaos.
बेंगलुरु से मुंबई आए हैं लेकिन हमारा बैग नहीं आया और बैग में मेरा पासपोर्ट है, इंटरनेशनल का टिकट है मेरा, बहरीन में जाना है।
तो अभी कैसे आएंगे आप? कैसे जाएंगे बहरीन? कब का है बहरीन?
अभी उन्हीं से पूछना है कैसे जाएंगे।
क्या बोल रहे हैं वो?
पता नहीं है उनको।
वो बोल रहे 2 दिन बाद का फ्लाइट बुक करा के देंगे और 2 दिन का वो सैलरी भी नहीं देंगे। हम लोग का 1 दिन का 20,000 का नुकसान है उधर का करेंसी का कन्वर्ट करके। ये लोग देने वाले का 20,000 पर डे का। पता नहीं ना, अभी ये लोग करके देंगे कुछ।
बेंगलुरु से मुंबई आए हैं लेकिन हमारा बैग नहीं आया और बैग में मेरा पासपोर्ट है, इंटरनेशनल का टिकट है मेरा, बहरीन में जाना है।
तो अभी कैसे आएंगे आप? कैसे जाएंगे बहरीन? कब का है बहरीन?
अभी उन्हीं से पूछना है कैसे जाएंगे।
क्या बोल रहे हैं वो?
पता नहीं है उनको।
वो बोल रहे 2 दिन बाद का फ्लाइट बुक करा के देंगे और 2 दिन का वो सैलरी भी नहीं देंगे। हम लोग का 1 दिन का 20,000 का नुकसान है उधर का करेंसी का कन्वर्ट करके। ये लोग देने वाले का 20,000 पर डे का। पता नहीं ना, अभी ये लोग करके देंगे कुछ।
सचिन मिश्रा है किधर?
मैनेजर को बुला तुम्हारे। मैनेजर मिल गए।
नो
जल्दी करो थोड़ा। ये सतीश है, जल्दी करो।
सचिन मिश्रा
और ऊपर से भड़क रहे जैसे कि तुम्हारे घर का कहता हूँ कि मैं
क्या?
मैं मेरा क्वेरी है मैडम, 3 दिन से बिना खाए पिए सोए बूढ़ा बच्चा लोग बेंगलुरु में अटका था। कल जाके नाइट को लैंड हुआ और बिना बैग के लैंड हुआ। मेरा घर का चाबी उसमें, मेरा पासपोर्ट उसमें है। क्या झक मारेंगे आप?
क्या बोल रहे हैं? सुन नहीं दे रहा है। बड़ी सी से
मैडम 4 दिन से 3 दिन से बिना खाए पिए सोए यहाँ पे खड़े। ऐसा करने कैसा करने प्यार से बोले मैडम, प्यार से बोले। हम 3 दिन से प्यार से ही बोल रहे हैं। क्या इधर आके भाषण मत दे, भीख मांगी तेरे को, निकल ऐसे। भीख मांग रहा तेरे को।
वो सचिन मिश्रा है किधर?
मैनेजर को बुला तुम्हारे। मैनेजर कहाँ पे मिल गए?
नो
जल्दी करो थोड़ा। ये सतीश है, जल्दी करो।
सचिन मिश्रा
और ऊपर से भड़क रहे जैसे कि तुम्हारे घर का कहता हूँ कि मैं
क्या? That's the situation in different airports, ladies and gentlemen. And since yesterday, we've been reporting, in fact, for the last 36 hours, some airlines are trying to take advantage of the Indigo mess. And even Indigo itself, in the sectors which are operating as of this morning, was charging almost upwards of 45,000 rupees. And since yesterday, we've been reporting about how different airlines, the ones that are not affected, like Air India Express, Akasa, SpiceJet, etc., have extorted passengers who are stuck. Some sector tickets for 3 hours flight being charged upwards of 50,000 rupees. And the government, after our report, after Republic TV's relentless questions that were asked all of yesterday, and we showed them a reality check of how much airlines were charging, and the government has stepped in, asking airlines to ensure that prices are capped and that they follow regulations. In some cases, it went upwards of 1 lakh rupees. The Ministry of Civil Aviation, it's come a little late, but they gave out a press release nonetheless this morning, one on passenger refund, and secondly, on the airfare regulation. Some sectors, let's show you the graphic that we had of some sectors where even as of this morning, almost 80,000 rupees was being charged for some sector tickets. We had a graphic of the prices this morning. If I can take that, we'll show you what the situation was this morning. In fact, let's tell you that this morning, some airlines were charging about anywhere between 40 to 80,000 rupees, and Ministry of Civil Aviation was forced to step in concerning the high airfares being charged by certain airlines. That was the situation this morning, ladies and gentlemen. On your screen right now, some airlines on some sectors charging, look at that, almost 70,000. That's the Delhi-Bengaluru sector. And one SpiceJet flight was being shown as 81,000 rupees for a 2-hour, 40-minute flight. Can you believe it? Much more expensive than even an America return flight economy. This is the Delhi-Mumbai sector. These were the kind of prices that were being shown on most portals this morning. Air India flight tickets were being shown as upwards of 35,000, 38,000, 40,000 in some sectors. This was this morning. And finally, the government had to step in and issue a press release. And the directive, which has now been issued to all airlines, mandated strict adherence to fare caps that have now been prescribed, saying that these caps will remain in force until situation stabilizes. And the objective of the directive is to maintain pricing discipline in the market, prevent any exploitation of passengers in distress, and ensure that citizens who need to travel, including senior citizens, students, patients, are not subjected to financial hardship during the period. Let me go across to Shambhavi. Shambhavi, also there was a notification on refunds that was given. Many people complaining that, let alone the CEO came out yesterday and issued a statement saying food was being taken care of, accommodation was being taken care of. None of that was actually happening on the ground. But the government has been forced to step in almost. They should have done this first thing but didn't.
See, definitely since we've been reporting and since we've been showing the ground reality or the problem that the passengers who've been stranded here for hours and days at length have been facing. The first one was the unfair prices, the other fellow airlines taking undue advantage of the passengers who are stranded here. As you very rightly pointed out, that let alone from Delhi to Mumbai, the ticket price was more than 35,000. Delhi to Bangalore was more than 69,000. So they were charging 6 times or 5 times their actual price. Apart from this, definitely there were other concerns. A lot of passengers that we spoke to, that Republic spoke to, they said that they don't have their luggage with them and that they're being told that within a few days they will hopefully receive their luggage, and they've mostly, like, they did not have their clothes, they did not have any items that were necessary or that would come for them handy. And now that, as per the latest direction of MOCA, we know that they've been directed to make sure that within the next 48 hours, every passenger should receive their baggage, should receive their luggage either on their residential address or on their chosen address. Apart from this, there were also several concerns raised that there are senior citizens inside who are not getting proper food or proper water, or they do not have a proper place to lie down. So again, that is being taken care of along with differently abled people or students or patients for that matter. So definitely the major 4 or 5 concerns that these passengers who've been stranded here have been facing, they are slowly being taken care of.
Getting in some breaking news. In fact, Kabir Malik is joining us. Kabir Malik, aviation expert on the phone line with us. As we get in some more news, Kabir, that government now plans to impose heavy penalty or exemplary penalty on Indigo for what has transpired in the last 3 days. Number of flights that Indigo gets in various sectors will be curtailed. Will only be allowed to fly those number of flights for which they can provide full crew. Now, all of this is belated. Belated should have been done a long time back. They waited and they gave in, and now they're planning belated action, looking at how it's turned out on the ground.
See, I already told you, and I just today I'm the same. My concern is there that the flight which is cancelled in these last 4 days, they have to be compensated to the passengers also, as well as their luggage. They have to be sent on time to their house. Others not able to, they have to be paid for their expenditure also. Secondly, MOCA already issued a notification to the Indigo that they have to be maintain all the expenditures and the losses which is the passengers are bearing these days because of this cancellation, and it is their responsibility. Secondly, there is one case also reached to the Supreme Court now. In this case, Mr. Nilesh Mishra also looking for that, and they claimed in Article 21 they have to be compensate all the passengers and everything which is responsible this airline only, and they have to be maintain all the flight cancellation within 4 days in upcoming this week, and the refund would be full to the passenger. The panic is already going on all the airports, and I'm expecting that they will cover it soon within a week, I think so.
Okay. In a week. Okay. Thank you, Captain Kabir Malik. I'm getting in some breaking news updates right now. I'd like to go across to that. Government's also saying that there could be some heavy penalty that could be imposed. Exemplary penalty, some saying, on Indigo for what has transpired in the last 3 days. That's the breaking news update coming in. Number of flights that Indigo gets in various sectors could be curtailed. Will be only allowed to fly those number of flights for which they can provide a full crew. And also hearing that there is a meeting of Indigo officials at the ministry again at around 6 p.m. That's a breaking news update that's coming in right now. 6 p.m. Belated action. Indigo summoned again. Officials expected to be there at 6 p.m. after the chaos that's unfolded. And one of the points that could be taken up at the Civil Aviation Ministry meeting could be the issue of the CEO. The Indigo CEO will try and get Shravan. Peter Elbers put out a statement yesterday saying that cancellations were to align planes and crew. Will he be removed? Will he be removed? There have been demands to remove the Indigo CEO given whatever is happening. Now, one of the points that could be raised at the meeting is on the continuation of the Indigo CEO. I'll go across to Shravan. Will be joining us in a short while from now. Center, we are hearing the government could be raising the issue of Indigo CEO. Shravan is with me. Shravan, can you confirm, Shravan, whether the Indigo MD, Indigo CEO, COO were in India? Because there are some reports saying they were not even here in India when it happened. Is that true?
Well, I'm not very sure about the presence of the CEO in the country. That's not confirmed at this point in time. But let me just make this very clear that the government has taken a serious note. This comes after the meeting that you've had, the Civil Aviation Minister has had with Union Home Minister Amit Shah, and thereafter the plan was essentially drawn up late last evening is what we are being told. And given the fact that the DGCA has also faced a lot of flack coming in from the airline body, it seems that the Ministry of Civil Aviation has been left with no other option, an option which they perhaps should have exercised long ago. At least in the first meeting that they have had with Indigo, we are now being given to understand that this evening around 6 o'clock, when Indigo management is going to be asked to present themselves before the ministry officials, that's when this is likely to come up. One, there will be a financial penalty. Under what grounds is that going to happen? That's not very clear at this stage, but it seems that the government has actually made up its mind that they will have to pay a penalty for it. In fact, they've given the airline time till about 7th of December to clear all refunds of the passengers. So they have time only till 7th of December. Everything has to be cleared by them. As far as a penalty in the form of the fact that they haven't really prepared the ground for carrying out the new rules, there's a possibility that this is going to be paid on the negotiating table itself. The other important issue, and perhaps that is something that is going to hurt Indigo the most, is with regards to the sectors that they are essentially flying. Remember, they happen to be the market leader. Over 60% of the routes are essentially handled by Indigo itself. Now, if at all the government actually pushes back and makes it very clear that they're not going to allow Indigo to basically operate in all the routes, it's going to certainly have a massive financial ramification. At least that's the punitive action that's going to be taken against Indigo. So it's quite clear, Niranjan, here that it does appear that what we witnessed for the last 4 days does appear to be a manufactured crisis.
Yes, Shawan, I'm just coming back to you. What are you hearing about what is expected to be raked up at the meeting this evening?
One, a punitive action against the CEO of Indigo. That is certainly on the cards. I'm saying this because it seems that following the late evening meeting that has essentially taken place, and the Civil Aviation Minister himself actually looking into this entire matter, he's also drawn a lot of flack given the fact that it seems that in the first meeting that they've had with the Indigo officials, they did not take it extremely seriously. In fact, all that happened in the first meeting was that they had only asked Indigo to perhaps normalize the situation in the next 24 hours. The question that came up thereafter was this, that wasn't the Civil Aviation Ministry, or for that matter DGCA, aware of the fact that Indigo wasn't really complying with any of the rules that were brought into place? In fact, if you compare that with other airlines, for instance, Akasa did actually comply with the rules as far as the FDTL ruls are concerned.
Okay, Shawan, Group Captain Anand Mathur is also joining us on the phone line. We'll just take a question with him and then we have to take a break. Captain Mathur, it's a bit late. It's a bit late, but they've been called again. Fares have been capped this morning after passengers have been looted for the last almost 36 hours. There are demands being made for the Indigo CEO's removal, sir. Is it a bit too late now?
I think there should be a punitive financial action also on the airline apart from refund of tickets to the passengers. This provisional amount should be cut from the Indigo and they need to deposit it with DGCA apart from refunding the passengers also. Why should it not be done in this manner? Administrative action against the senior management can be discussed later, but the punitive financial action, I think, should be one of the initial steps.
Thank you. Thank you. Group Captain Mathur, we'll try and get you live in just a bit. I have to take a break now. We have a show at 3:30, but we're coming back with the top headlines. This is the big story right now, ladies and gentlemen. There is a proposal to remove the Indigo CEO that's happening this evening. There is a meeting at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. meeting at the Civil Aviation Ministry. And one of the big proposals will be to remove the Indigo CEO. That will be taken up this morning after the complete chaos and the arm twisting, the blackmail that has happened by Indigo. We'll take a short break here on Republic TV and come back with the live coverage once again. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Taking a break right now. We'll come back with the big story on top of 4 p.m.
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता, उबालो, मिलाओ और खाओ। 8 मिनट में तैयार। क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा, आर प्योर मसाला।
Security.
Mr. Deepak Jayaraman, author and executive coach, helps leaders unlock clarity, balance, and purpose.
Very, very interesting and engaging topic, and I'm sure that you're going to get to learn a lot from this talk on potential playbooks. Over to you.
Lovely to be here. I'm going to walk around a little bit. I guess this part of the audience has been neglected the whole day, so I'm going to, that's why I request a lapel. First of all, thank you to the Republic Media Network for having me here. It's a real privilege to have this platform to sort of share my ideas. And it's a lovely campus. I was taking a tour around the campus, and it reminded me of my campus in IIM Ahmedabad that I was there 25, 26 years back, architected by the legendary Louis Kahn. So it had a very similar brick structure and feel. So it's wonderful. It's almost nostalgic to be back here. I'm going to talk about potential. And the whole day you've been listening to many people talk about what it will take for our country to grow, what it will take for our country to develop. And really, Viksit Bharat has been the discussion point today. But I'm going to take a slightly different approach, right? Let me talk to you what this session is and what it is not. First, this is not a top-down session. This is not about macro policies. This is not about what the government should do. This is not about what the taxes will be, et cetera, et cetera. This is about bottom-up. This is about what you and me should do, you know? How do we think about potential at an individual level? This almost, think of it like an atomic bomb. You know, if you can get the atom to sort of release that energy, as a country, automatically we can sort of create that energy. And this is not just about economic progress, right? I think I was listening to the speech by Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, and she spoke about happiness and health. So this is about not just the destination, but also the journey. You know, how do we get there? If we get the economic output, but we are, you know, depressed as a society, I don't think that's an outcome that we should look forward to. So how do we think about progress in a holistic way? And third, it's not so much about what's missing. You know, I work as a coach with many leaders, and very often I feel we beat ourselves up with what we don't have. But sometimes the biggest contribution we can make is by knowing what our strengths are, what our superpowers are. So this is about really saying what's working, and let's build on what are our strengths. So let me talk about where my insights come from today. One is, I used to be a consultant with McKinsey in New Jersey in the US, so I had an opportunity to look at leaders up close and get a sense of the link between business strategy and leadership. Second, I work with an executive search firm called Egon Zehnder. It's a Swiss firm, where I got a sense of how do you look for a leader in the context of a business situation. And for the last close to a decade, I've been working as a coach and sounding board with many leaders, and I've had an opportunity to understand what's going on in their heads. You know, you see a leader in front of the curtain on the stage very often, but who the person is behind the curtains is often very different. So I've had an opportunity to sort of engage with these people on what really is keeping them awake at night. So I hope to bring some of those insights here. Second, I've had an opportunity to curate the Play to Potential podcast for the last close to 9 years, and I've spoken to 100+ guests, and it's counting. And I've chosen to look at diversity of insight. Very often we talk about diversity of thought in the boardroom. Even as I thought about potential, I said, why don't we just look at a range of people and see what we can learn? So one is, of course, CEOs and entrepreneurs. I'm sure you recognize many of the faces: Nandan Nilekani, Vinita Bali. You know, I don't want to read out every name, but all these names are the who's who of the Indian corporate world. Then we have legendary sports persons. We have Vijay Amritraj, Vishy Anand, Viren Raskina, who runs Olympic Gold Quest, Deepa Malik, a Paralympian, Paddy Upton, the mental conditioning coach of the Indian team. So I said, what can we learn from the world of sport? And then I said, what can we learn from the world of creative professionals? Right? The first lady, Aisha Birsel, is an industrial designer who applies industrial design principles to designing your life. Second is Atul Kasbekar, who started out as a chemical engineer but became a celebrated photographer and now a producer. Next is Bombay Jayashree, an accomplished Carnatic musician. Amish Tripathi, who started with an MBA from IIM Calcutta, was in the financial services world and now is a celebrated author. And then Papa CJ, who's a stand-up comedian, but started out with an MBA in Oxford and then pivoted to stand-up comedy. So as a student of transitions, I tried and understand these journeys to figure out what makes them tick and how do they think about these transitions. And last, you know, HSBC has this slogan, right? Think global, act local. So I said, let me tap into some of the leading thinkers in the West. So first is Amy Edmondson. She was voted the #1 thinker in the world. She's a professor at Harvard Business School. We have Marshall Goldsmith, who's like the, if I may say, the Don Bradman of coaches. He's like considered an all-time great. Dan Pink. Linda Grattan has written a book, 100-Year Life. Again, if we're all going to live longer, then how do we think about staying relevant in a world that's sort of accelerating change? And last is Herminia Ibarra, who's a leading thinker in the space of transitions. So I hope to bring some of these insights as well to bear as we go through our talk. So let me talk through my, if I may say, relationship with the word potential. You know, my initial thoughts go back to my physics textbooks, right? My daughter Pragya is in grade 10 and my son Nirmal is in grade 6. So I spend a lot of time teaching them math and physics. So this is sort of point A is the potential energy of the swing, and at some stage it gets converted to kinetic energy when the swing comes down. Right? That's sort of my first brush with the word potential, and implicit in this image is that potential energy is finite. There is a certain finite energy that's stored that gets released. The next the next engagement with the word potential happened when I was a search consultant with Egon Zehnder. We would hire leaders and we would often say you can hire for skills, or you can hire for competencies, or you can hire for potential. To use a simple metaphor from Hindi movies, how many of you are familiar with the Hindi movie Diwar? Clearly, I'm addressing a very different generation here. But there's a term called lambe race ka ghoda, which is used in that movie. How do you look at that person who's 10 years old and say that this person will become somebody significant, right? How do you look at this and say this person will build one of the largest IT services companies? How do you look at this person and say she will go on to lead one of the largest consumer goods companies in the world, right? So what are the markers of potential? What are the lead indicators? And let me share at least the headlines of what we would look for. First, we would look for judgment. And, it's interesting that the first sub-bullet under judgment is problem finding, not problem solving. In a world with ChatGPT and Gen AI, I think problem solving is getting commoditized. What's becoming premium is actually how do you frame a problem. Just to give you a very simple example, one of the people I spoke to at the podcast was somebody who was an expert at solving the right problem. And he said, many years back, there was this elevator company which was receiving a lot of complaints, saying the elevator is very slow. Many people were complaining that for them to go from floor 1 to floor 50, it took a lot of time. So they assembled a group of mechanical engineers and they said, how do we really make the motor go faster, blah, 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 spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. Till one guy came along and said, it's not that it's taking time, it's probably people are getting bored. Can we have a mirror in the elevator? So the mirrors you see in the elevator are a solution to boredom. So the point is, if we frame the problem differently, then different answers emerge. So in a world of ChatGPT, problem finding becomes that much more critical than problem solving. Second is influence. We all have ideas, but how well do we sort of share those ideas with the world around us? What are the people skills you have? How are you at building trust with the people around you? And the third is drive. I think there was a discussion about ambition. Right? Drive, in a way, is the propelling force which moves you forward. So judgment, influence, and drive would be the three variables we would look for as we look for, talent which can really play the long game, and that's lambe race ka ghoda. And to figure out judgment, influence, and drive, once again, we would look at three levels, right? One is sort of the LinkedIn level, what people have done. I'm sure many of you here have a LinkedIn profile. So this is literally the list of things you've done. And one level below is how people get things done. How do you drive results? How do you drive strategy? How do you connect with people? How do you build relationships, etc.? And the lowest level of the iceberg, of people is why do you do what you do, right? And especially if you look at people when they transition, very often you ask them, why did you move from A to B? You often will get a real story of what matters to them. Are they after power? Are they after money? Are they after recognition? Or are they after something else? So the lowest level of probing for potential is actually focusing on the when and the why. The next brush with potential actually was the first conversation I had in my podcast. Any guesses to who this person is? Any guesses now? Sorry? Neil Armstrong. Close. This is Buzz Aldrin, the second man on the moon. Buzz Aldrin, right? So I asked Vijay Amritraj, the legendary tennis player, as I wrap up my podcast, one of the questions I ask is, what does the term play to potential mean to you? And he spoke about an episode when he visited Buzz Aldrin's home in California. I'll just play that audio clip for you.
In one of my interviews, one of my guests on one of my talk shows was the second man on the moon, Buzz Aldrin, who was a friend of mine. And when I went to interview him at his home in Westwood in California, you look at all the various accolades and so on and so forth, like we've seen in people's homes and trophies and plaques and so on and so forth. So very few things really catch your eye as you go through pictures and you go through this and that. But there was this one little plaque in the corner that absolutely caught my eye. And I've never forgotten it, and it always is very much in the back of my mind when I do things. And it was stuck in a corner in his living room, and it said, we always tell kids as you grow up, you better do this, if you fulfill your potential, sky's the limit, everything's always sky's the limit, And so that little plaque said, who said sky is the limit when I left my footprints on the moon?
Who said sky is the limit when I could leave my footprints on the moon? Now I want to go back to my first mental model with potential, the swing. That sort of implies a certain finiteness. But I think my current working definition of potential is technically it's infinite. It's limited by human imagination, right? And I think there's a couple of lines in Hindi which I think capture it beautifully, right? Jiski jitni udan baki hai, utna hi asman baki hai. So technically I think we are... Now I must say, this quote was brought to my attention by my friend Vineet Panchi, who uses it very often. But I think this captures, and I think the source is a gentleman called Anil Meeth, who's written this couplet. But I think this captures the idea of potential. In a way, we come in the way of our own potential. And we will never know. One of my clients, actually, at the end of my coaching assignment, I was asking feedback. How did it go? And he asked me, Deepak, you talk about playing to potential. Are you playing to your potential? And my honest response was, I don't know. And sometimes we are a very poor judge of our own potential. Sometimes the people around us might know better. And sometimes we might limit ourselves by aiming here, but maybe our potential is something bigger. Let me come to where my thinking on potential stands today, right? I think the first piece I want to talk about is the role of play. Another guest, when I asked the closing question, what does the term play to potential mean to you? They said the answer is in your title. I said, what do you mean? They said, you can't work to your potential. You can only play to your potential. So that basically means that each one of us has to figure out what is play for us. And that might vary. What do I mean by that? There are always a few activities where, you lose sense of time, which are joyful. And a simple metric is, are you feeling depleted or are you feeling energized at the end of the activity? Right? Even in a job, there'll be elements of a job that are energizing, elements of a job that will be depleting. Can we sort of tune into more around what feels like play for us? So that's sort of the first perspective in terms of where it stands today. The second is the idea of juggling. When I was in the UK, one of my hobbies was actually to learn ball juggling. So I actually got a couple of 2-3 bean bags just to show you, right? I think the point is when you juggle 3 balls, you can do different patterns. And the one thing I learned with juggling is at any one point in time, your eyes are always looking at the ball on the top, right? My eye will always look at the ball on the top. But I'm also aware of all the balls in the air. While the eye is looking at the ball at the top, my awareness is about all the balls in the air. And the third thing about juggling is it's also what's called an NP hard problem, As N increases, the complexity is not linear, the complexity is exponential. So juggling is one of those things where as the number of things we take on, the complexity increases. And this is this is an image I should credit my wife Kamini, right? When I was considering the cover of my book, my initial consideration was to have a tightrope to talk about various identities. But she was the one who said, why don't you think of juggling various hats? Each hat is a different identity we carry. I'm a son, I'm a father, I'm a coach, I'm a podcaster, I like to play the guitar. So how do we juggle these various identities? That's a real question in terms of playing to our potential. It's not a single dimension, but it's a sort of a multidimensional optimization problem. And third is context, right? When I was back in B school, professors would always say, to solve any problem, you need conceptual clarity and contextual familiarity. Right? You might have all the concepts, but if you don't understand the context, then none of your knowledge is useful. The point is each one of us is dealt with a different hand of cards. And what do I mean by that? It's our genetic structure, it's our families we are born into, our education, our parents, the schools we go to, etc., etc. Now, are we doing the best we can given the resources we have and given the constraints we have? That becomes a real question. There's no absolute answers. Each one has to find the answer to their own context. Let me give you a simple example with javelin. right? If I told you there's one javelin thrower who throws 89 meters and the other one throws 47 meters, who's a better thrower? Most people would say, the one who threw 89 meters. But what if I said the first is Neeraj Chopra and second is Navdeep Singh? And what if I said Neeraj got a silver for his effort and Navdeep got a gold for his effort? Now the point is, if you don't really take into account context, just looking at the surface level doesn't tell you anything. So each one of us have a set of resources, have a set of constraints. So unless we are truly aware of who we are and what our context is, it's difficult to figure out how we play to our potential. And very often when I think about potential in a holistic sense, a lot of people talk about Ikigai. I'm guessing many people in the room are familiar with Ikigai, right? It's sort of what you like, what you're good at, what the world needs, what the world will pay you for, and you operate at the bullseye. It seems like a very straightforward approach. But what I realize is, life is not so simple for us to apply Ikigai. Life is messy, right? And, I love this quote from Abraham Lincoln, who says, when somebody asked him about true north, when he sort of decides to do something devious, they say, what happened to your true north? And he says, a compass will point you to the true north. But the compass will not tell you if there's a well or a desert or a ravine along the way. So in the pursuit of the true north, if you sink in a swamp, there's no glory in it. So to me, when I think about it, a true north cannot do the job of a torchlight, especially in Indian roads at night. You can't focus, you can't hope for the true north to solve those problems. You need a torchlight or a headlight to navigate the Indian roads. So I wanted to put together an approach which accounted for the messiness of life. And that's what I wanted to share with you. In a way, I capture that in the book, Play to Potential. But the core of the approach is, first is the family context, right? A lot of the literature I see about playing to potential treats life as a solo sport. But the more I look around, the more coaching work I do, I realize life is a team sport. The team is the family. And unless we really tune into the family context, it might be maternity, it might be empty nesting, it might be loss of a loved one, whatever. It might be a transfer. But unless we really unless we account for the family context, we might be missing the plot. Let me just sort of, in the context of transitions, I spoke to Amish Tripathi when he transitioned from the world of business to the world of novel writing. And he talks about the role of family and the role he had to play to enroll them in his journey.
Suggests that you should use your heart to decide the destination, but use your mind to plot the journey. So I was very clear that I was not going to give up on my book, no matter what. No matter how many people rejected it. I was going to do everything that I could to make it work. आगे चले ना चले भगवान के ऊपर है, but I will do my best. That I was very clear on.
Sure.
Now that was the destination that my heart had decided. So, what should the journey be to that? I allowed my mind to make up my mind, which is I allowed my mind to make up my decision.
Sure.
Which is why I did not resign from my job. Which is why I invested only into the marketing of the book. But I invested only what I could afford from my salary. I didn't take loans from anyone. I of course didn't ask any of my relatives, anyone for anything, only my money. I invested only what I could afford. I made, I was lucky that I had family support for this. My wife, my siblings, because, if you don't have that emotional support, it's not about financial support, it's that emotional support.
True.
Then that can kind of, draw energy away from you. And, that family support is extremely crucial. And, of course, I'm lucky in that sense, but I would also say that it's a responsibility of each individual to try and get that support. To enroll people around him into his journey. It's your job to figure out how you can get them motivated in your journey, because frankly, it's not their journey. Why should they care so much about you? So you have to figure it out. And my family was of course very supportive, because they could see how this book had changed me. It had changed my character by 180 degrees, and they were extremely supportive, and that's a big part.
I think a lot of the women leaders I spoke to, this Amish Tripathi, this is specifically relevant to women leaders, right? I think a lot of the women leaders I spoke to, they said around maternity, for example, they had to really create that ecosystem around them. It's very easy to get into a victim mindset, but the really proactive ones that really created that ecosystem around them were able to move forward and have that support for them. And it didn't happen by accident. It required architecting. The next piece is L. Ikigai suggests that you do what you love, but not many people have that privilege. Doing what you love feels like Mount Everest to a lot of people. Very often you need to do something to put bread on the table. But at least make space for what you love. I like to play music with my kids. For some people it's gardening, for some people it's running, for some people it's pottery. But figure out what you enjoy. If you find it at work, that's wonderful. Otherwise, keep some space that re-energizes you. The next piece is aspiration. And I think in the previous speech, somebody asked a question about ambition. The way I think about it is ambition is like saying I want to get 100 in math. Aspiration is like saying I want to do well in the exam of life. And what I mean by that is we all have different identities. Like I said earlier, we're juggling different identities. And what I urge people to do is to think of the various identities and say, how do I take a baby step forward in each of them? As a father, as a brother, as a son, as a coach. What is that next baby step I can take, mini milestone I can have for a year and move forward holistically in the exam of life while not just getting consumed by one dimension, which is ambition, which is at work. So that's A. And of course, the answer varies from person to person. Different people might prioritize work over other things, but I at least ask people to be a little more intentional about the trade-offs here. The next piece is VO. I think the world of work is changing, right? I think we are moving into an era where my father worked in one company for 40 years. My father-in-law was a brigadier in the Indian Army. He worked in one organization for 35 years. I think the world we all are growing into is changing. I don't think that paradigm will exist. So each one has to think a little bit about how do we create value and how do we seek opportunity. We talk about product market fit. I think we all need to figure out what is our talent market fit. And we all need to figure out how to go on the dating process. People are not going to hand out a job in a platter. But I think that talent market dating process is a skill not many people have. And we need to build that because, we need to go through that process many times possibly. And this is particularly relevant for people in transitions, right? We spoke about maternity. And very often I find homemakers, I think one of the earlier sessions, there was a statistic that 17%, a big chunk of the GDP is sort of efforts in homes but are not captured. But what I notice is home can sometimes be a low feedback and a low gratification, low feedback loop and low accountability or a low traceability kind of a situation. And a lot of people get into self-worth issues. Similarly, people who are going through retirement, who are going through a significant transition after work. So one thing I've noticed is people who've asked the question, how can I be of value? Maybe by volunteering, maybe by doing something small, maybe by participating in a not-for-profit, maybe by sitting on a board. Sometimes when you sort of contribute to the world around you, I think it sets off a virtuous cycle. So how do I be of value? Ravi Venkatesan is a friend and a mentor, and he talks a little bit about how to think about leadership. Very often we see leaders on stage talking about big grand plans, but he says that leadership is not a title, it's a verb. How can we think about leadership as a verb?
Century is not a noun, it's not a title, it's not a position, it's actually an act, it's a verb. Okay? And that act is something that every human being is capable of. And so I give examples like Padma Shri. I give an example of a young boy who lives in a slum, a garbage dump in Ahmedabad and goes to a Teach for India school. I give an example of a young mentee of mine who's now a successful young woman who started Kids for Code, etc. And I said, look, none of these cases did they have any formal authority. Nobody asked them to do what they did. They felt a calling. They decided to act on it. And they've accomplished far more than what they would have imagined and what the world imagined they could accomplish. And so to me, this is the most powerful, inspiring model for how we create a functioning society, how we create a functioning planet, which is leadership comes from anywhere and everywhere. It's ordinary people doing extraordinary things, not about extraordinary people.
Absolutely. I think leadership is about what each one of us can do. The next piece, very quickly, I'm mindful of time. Next piece is investing in yourself, both skills and capabilities to stay relevant, but also investing in physical health, mental health, spiritual health, right? I think if we want to play the long game, like Dr. Sangeeta Reddy said, we need to focus on our health and happiness. And the intangible balance sheet is going to be as important. The last pieces are relationships, both relationships with friends and family, but also relationships in the workplace. The longest study of happiness in Harvard basically said if there's one variable that predicts happiness in the long run, it's the quality of relationships that people have. And every now and then, just like we talk about flavor in the context of ice creams, we talk about flavor of the season. I think we all go through different seasons in our life, and we need to rediscover the flavor of the season. The way I balance the wheel in my 30s is different from the way I balance the wheel in my 40s. So that keeps evolving. And what we need for that is self-awareness, right? I think the previous session, the speaker spoke about the criticality of self-awareness. But I think the nuance here is, one is sort of reflecting our way to self-awareness. The other is seeking feedback. And we need to combine the two because they often tell us very different things. And I think in summary, if there is one quote which captures my thinking on potential, it actually goes back to Thurgood Marshall. He was the first African-American Chief Justice in the American justice system. And when somebody asked him, how would you like to be remembered when you're no more? He's known to have said, I want to be remembered as he did what he could with what he had. To me, this one sentence captures the essence of potential. If we all can do what we can with what we have, then hopefully we will play to our potential. And if each one of us plays to our potential, hopefully the country will play to its potential. So that's my vision for India. Each one of us playing to our potential, and hopefully that multiplies, and that leads to the country playing to its potential. Thank you.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मम्मा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा, मसाला। थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मम्मा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा, मसाला।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में हाइकिंग शिप भी बन सकती है।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
ये कहानी है बदलाव की, जिसने उन्हें हिम्मत दी, राह दिखाई और आत्मनिर्भर बनाया।
त्रिपुरा सरकार ने महिलाओं को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने के लिए कई परिकल्पनाएं शुरू की हैं ताकि वो अपनी आजीविका खुद तय कर सके।
अब त्रिपुरा की महिलाएं हर क्षेत्र में अपनी निर्णायक भूमिका निभा रही है।
Pure शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, एवरीडे।
भाई मेरा बेटी को प्यार चाहिए था। मेरा बेटी का ब्लड आ रहा, ब्लड नीचे से ब्लड आ रहा, प्यार चाहिए, दे दो। क्यों नहीं कर सकता? क्यों नहीं कर सकता? क्यों नहीं कर सकता? मेरे को प्यार चाहिए अभी।
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Very good afternoon, viewers. You're watching Live and Breaking. I'm Rakshita Mishra with you. Let's take a quick look at the top story that we are closely tracking for you this Sunday. That's Saturday afternoon. Government directs Indigo to clear all pending passenger refunds without delay and without rescheduled charges by Sunday. It is tomorrow, 8 p.m. Indigo cancellations continue for a fifth day. Over 400 flights cancelled today since morning. Indigo passengers across airport lose their cool and get into heated argument with airline staff amid the nationwide aviation chaos. Pilots' body condemns the Ministry of Civil Aviation's decision to place the FDTL in abeyance, a move that contradicts court directions and delays critical fatigue risk safeguards for passengers and pilots. DGCA teams to travel to counter Nirav Modi's claims against extradition. Hearing on Nirav Modi expected in London on the December 16th. So, ED and CBI team will be heading to London. Delhi Police Economic Offences Wing issues notice to Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar. National Herald case asks him to appear before it on the 19th of December. A very warm welcome, viewers, and we start with our top focus. Government sources now indicate that Indigo may face a heavy financial penalty and a possible curtailment of the number of flights it is allowed to operate. Following escalating concerns with the Civil Aviation Ministry, now Indigo officials have been summoned to the ministry for a meeting at 6 p.m. where, according to sources, demands for the removal of the airline CEO are also expected to be raised, with the issue likely to be formally taken up during the discussion. So the matter is now, this entire matter is now advancing to a level where, as we see, the CEO of Indigo, his removal is also being now sought. Indigo officials have been summoned at the Ministry of External Affairs headquarters in the National Capital at 6 p.m. And in the meantime, viewers, Republic TV's network of reporters are on ground zero, getting you the reports from all the affected passengers. Let's take a listen into one of those reports.
इंडिगो की मनमानी से तमाम जो पैसेंजर्स हैं उनको किस तरह की जो समस्या है वो झेलनी पड़ रही है। इस वक्त हमारी मौजूदगी है लखनऊ के एयरपोर्ट पे और तमाम जो पैसेंजर्स हैं देखिए वो कतार में खड़े हुए हैं। उनकी क्या दिक्कत जानते हैं। सर, क्या आपकी फ़्लाइट रीशेड्यूल हुई है, क्या दिक्कत है?
फ़्लाइट अभी कैंसिल हुई है, मैसेज आया है, शाम की फ़्लाइट थी, अब बात करनी है, रीशेड्यूल करते हैं, कुछ तो मतलब अरेंजमेंट करना है क्योंकि आगे की प्लान्स थे मेरे।
कहाँ पर जाना था?
चेन्नई जाना था।
अभी क्या इनसे बात करेंगे कि ये नेक्स्ट फ्लाइट क्या देते हैं आपको या क्या?
थोड़ा मैं एडजस्ट करूँगा, थोड़ा ये एडजस्ट करते हैं, ट्राई करेंगे जो
आप किस तरह की परेशानियाँ यहाँ पे झेलनी?
परेशानी मतलब हम लोग का सॉरी लाइक माय फ्लाइट वाज एट लाइक 7:55 वी हैड कम एट लाइक 6 o'clock and like and not getting anybody. So now we are in the queue, like there is just a simple message that like your flight is cancelled. It is not even rescheduled. मेरे को पता नहीं है कब वो दूसरा फ्लाइट देगा, कुछ कल का फ्लाइट देगा, परसों का फ्लाइट देगा, तरसों का फ्लाइट देगा, और कोई बंदा भी नहीं है किससे पूछूं। हम लोग क्यू में हूँ, देखता हूँ क्या बोलते हैं,
लेकिन कोई कम्युनिकेशन नहीं है।
कुछ कम्युनिकेशन नहीं है।
इमरजेंसी में जाना हो उसके लिए तो बड़ी मुसीबत,
बहुत ही मुसीबत की बात है। हम तो फंस गया, मेरा भी बहुत मुसीबत। हम शादी के लिए यहाँ आया था, एक दोस्त का शादी था, दोस्त का बेटे का शादी था, यहाँ के लिए आया। हम गुवाहाटी से इतना दूर से आया हूँ, गाड़ी बस लेके जाने का भी कोई साधन नहीं है, दूसरा फ्लाइट भी कुछ नहीं है, एक ही फ्लाइट है। बहुत परेशानी हो रहा है सर।
सर आप कहाँ के लिए ट्रैवल कर रहे थे और किस तरह की परेशानी?
सर हमारे वी आर फ्लाइंग टू देहरादून, फ्लाइट गॉट कैंसल्ड, देयर हैज बीन नो अपडेट बेसिकली कि आर दे गोइंग टू रीशेड्यूल इट और द टिकट इज टोटली गॉन. Whatever. We have connecting problems, connecting programs. All the programs are totally now gone in a toss. Basically already. Hotel bookings are.
Hotels booked थे आप?
हाँ, उनके पूरे होटल बुक्स हैं. हमारे ऑफिसेस के लोगों का स्टक हो चुके हैं 50-50 घंटे. कोई साउथ में स्टक है, कोई इधर स्टक है. सोचो पूरा इकोनॉमी की कितनी लगी हुई है. बेसिकली गवर्नमेंट ऑल्सो हैज़ टू लुक एट इट कि ये व्हाई इट हैज़ हैपन. इतने दिन प्लान तक क्यों नहीं किया उन्होंने?
किस तरह की मांग करते हैं सरकार से, चूंकि जिस तरह का लॉस आप लोग बेयर कर रहे हैं?
नहीं, we want compensation or basically at least they should be humble enough to give alternatives, because everybody here is basically for work. Nobody here is for entertainment only. Or so they should compensate something or they should reschedule something. They should not abruptly cancel. They should say okay, 6 घंटा लेट है, समझ में आया. Okay, basically at least you are reaching your place. You are cancelled now. Where do we stand? In a new place? Nowhere. मतलब अगेन पे फॉर द होटल और फाइंड आउट समथिंग डिफरेंट. गवर्नमेंट को पहले ये देखना चाहिए, जब उनको 3 महीने का रोस्टर का प्लानिंग का प्लान दिया था, व्हाई दे हैव नॉट डन इट. और गवर्नमेंट उसके अगेंस्ट में क्या ले रही है, गवर्नमेंट उसको कितनी पेनल्टी लगा रही है. आप देखोगे तो लोगों के इट्स जस्ट नॉट द इकोनॉमिकल लॉस, इट इज़ अ बेसिकली लॉस ऑफ द टाइम एंड द बिजनेस. तो ओवरऑल गवर्नमेंट पूरे नेशन का लॉस है ना इसमें. अब इतने एक मोनोपोली कंपनी है जिसमें एक बस कंपनी 60% कैप्चर कर रही, तो गवर्नमेंट ने क्यों नहीं किया कि एयरलाइंस शुड बी बेसिकली फेयर इन दिस थिंग. सिंपल. सो इट इज.
साफ तौर पर ये पैसेंजर्स हैं जिनको किस तरह की परेशानी उठानी पड़ी. उनका साफ तौर पे कहना है कि उनके होटल्स बुक थे, लाखों रुपए का उन्होंने पेमेंट किया, चूंकि वो एक शादी में ट्रैवल कर रहे थे, कोई किसी ज़रूरी काम से ट्रैवल कर रहा था, लेकिन तमाम परेशानियों के बीच आज वो यहाँ पर कतार में खड़े, इतना पे करने के बाद भी कि उनको रीशेड्यूल कर रहे हैं या उनका कैंसिलेशन कर रहे हैं या उनको इस जो फ्लाइट का उन्होंने टिकट बुक किया तो उसका रीपे करेंगे, यानी ये भी उनको नहीं पता है. तो जिस तरह से मनमानी तरीके से इंडिगो ने अपना जो फ्लाइट्स है उनको कैंसिल किया. साफ तौर पर इस वक्त लखनऊ एयरपोर्ट की बात की जाए तो यहाँ पर आपको देखें 7 फ्लाइट्स हैं जो कि कैंसिल की गई हैं. उनमें से एक जो फ्लाइट थी वो एयर इंडिया की थी, बाकी जो फ्लाइट्स हैं वो इंडिगो की हैं. ये साफ आपको देखिए जो डैशबोर्ड है इनका उसमें साफ तौर पर दिख रहा है ये कि देखिए मुंबई की जो फ़्लाइट है वो कैंसिल हुई है, हैदराबाद की कैंसिल हुई है, दिल्ली की कैंसिल हुई है, देहरादून की कैंसिल हुई है, कोची और बैंगलोर की भी कैंसिल हुई है. साफ तौर पर ये लखनऊ एयरपोर्ट का डिस्प्ले है जहां पर दिखा रहे हैं किस तरह से जो पैसेंजर्स हैं वो तमाम परेशानियों का जो सामना है उनको वो करना पड़ रहा है. वीडियो अनुज के साथ गौरव त्रिवेदी, रिपब्लिक मीडिया नेटवर्क, लखनऊ.
And we have our reporters on ground zero, Satyaprakash from Mumbai airport and Shambhir from Delhi airport and my colleague Aishwarya from Hyderabad. To you first, Satyaprakash, में बताएं कि किस तरह के हालात इस वक्त मौजूद है, नज़र आ रहे हैं इस वक्त मुंबई एयरपोर्ट से.
देखिए रचिता, सुबह से ही मुंबई एयरपोर्ट पे हूँ और तस्वीरें दिखा रहा हूँ किस तरह से लोग यहाँ पे जो काउंटर है, यहाँ पे जो इंडिगो का काउंटर, यहाँ पे लगातार पूछताछ के लिए यहाँ पे पहुँच रहे हैं. सुबह से ही लाइन लगी हुई है और लोग परेशान हैं क्योंकि काफ़ी फ़्लाइटें कैंसिल हुई. 117 फ़्लाइटें कैंसिल हुई, 68 जो है फ़्लाइट जाने वाली और 54 फ़्लाइट जो आने वाली. लगातार यहाँ पर जो यात्री पहुँच रहे हैं उनकी अलग अलग शिकायतें हैं और सबकी अलग अलग शिकायतें हैं. किसी का लगेज गुम हो गया, किसी का जो है फ़्लाइट कैंसिल हो गया. आप लोग कहाँ जाने वाले थे?
हम श्रीनगर जाने वाले.
क्या बोला जा रहा है
अभी? मतलब मेरा कल का फ्लाइट है, वो कंफर्म नहीं उड़ेगा नहीं उड़ेगा.
अच्छा, कुछ बता नहीं रहे आपको?
नहीं बता नहीं रहे, हम ऐसे ही खड़े अभी तक.
कब से आए यहाँ पे एयरपोर्ट पे?
अभी हम तो सुबह से आए इधर.
आप भी सुबह से आए?
हाँ, सुबह से ही आए. अभी तो इनका मेरा दोस्त है वो श्रीनगर जाने वाला है ना, अभी कंफर्म करने के लिए आए, लेकिन अभी यहाँ पे देखा भीड़ है.
कुछ जानकारी बता रहे हैं?
नहीं अभी तो देखा नहीं, लेकिन शायद बता भी सकते हैं, अभी देखना
ये देख सकते हैं कि यहाँ पे अलग अलग जगह के लोग आए हुए हैं और लगातार कहीं कहीं यात्रियों का कहीं कहीं एक शिकायत है कि जो जानकारी है जानकारी बराबर नहीं दिया जा रहा है। क्योंकि जिस तरह से अगर यहाँ पे एयरपोर्ट पे आ रहे हैं तो एयरपोर्ट पे आने के पहले अगर इनको मैसेज आ जाए तो यहाँ पे आने की जरूरत नहीं कि उनकी फ्लाइट कैंसिल हो गई। लगातार अलग अलग शिकायतें हैं और यहाँ पर लोग पहुँच रहे हैं शिकायतों को लेकर। लेकिन जिस तरह से यहाँ पर लोग पहुँच रहे हैं, लोग कहना कि अगर कैंसिल हो रहा है तो उसको जानकारी दिया जाए और जानकारी के अलावा अगर उनका फ्लाइट का रिशेड्यूल किया जाए तो सारी जानकारी दिया जाए, क्योंकि यहाँ पे आकर मुंबई एयरपोर्ट पे घंटों यहाँ पे इंतजार कर रहे हैं लोग। जी
बिल्कुल हमारे साथ we'll also go across to Shambi, but before that we have a breaking news coming in. It's a statement issued by Air India now on the surge fares. Air India and Air India Express clarified that since 4th of December, economy class airfares on non-stop domestic flights have been proactively capped to prevent the usual demand and supply mechanism being applied by revenue management systems. So Air India has capped fares for economy class tickets. That's the issue. That's the statement issued by Airlines. Republic TV campaign continues to yield these impact. Air India caps fares for economy class tickets. And Shambhavi, well, that's a relief, of course, coming in for the passengers who have been, literally their money has been, poured oil over and, burned entirely. And the ordeal that they're going through, in fact, waiting for hours in an uncertainty, their entire planning, from business to, their personal plans, all going for a toss in a matter of few hours.
See, definitely, Rakshita, since this entire Indigo crisis has actually happened, apart from the flights being cancelled, now several people are struggling with the fact that the flights have been cancelled and delayed. Another major issue which has come up amid this meltdown was that the fellow airlines, be it Air India, be it Air India Express, Akasa, all these prices, they are skyrocketed and they were taking undue advantage of the passengers. Like just yesterday, Republic spoke to one of the passengers who've been stranded here for more than 32 hours. And when we were speaking to him, he told us that generally the ticket from Delhi to Chennai, it cost him somewhere around 7,000 to 9,000. But now that his flight in Indigo has cancelled and he was checking for prices with the Air India, the ticket cost around 60,000. Now that is around 6 times the original price. So this is a major issue that the passengers who are suffering because of this Indigo crisis is that even the hotels nearby this airport, be it JW Marriott, be it Hyatt, or be it any mid-tier hotels who are nearby, they, along with these fellow airlines, they have been taking undue advantage, unfair advantage of these passengers. And this has been a major issue. But now, with Air India releasing this statement, this comes as a huge relief.
Right. In fact, we have now news coming in from Hyderabad, and after this, we will go across to Aishwarya now. Hyderabad airport viewers has issued an update on their planned Indigo flight cancellations for the 6th of December, that's today, with a total of 144 flights being affected. Now, according to the latest information, 70 incoming flights and 74 outgoing flights have been cancelled. Now, this is a massive disruption, Aishwarya. It's really a significant disruption to the airline's operations at the Hyderabad airport. What more details can you share with us from Hyderabad?
Absolutely. As you pointed out, today almost 144 airlines, Indigo Airlines especially, have been cancelled from here, and yesterday it was 155. So the continuous cancellations of flights, Indigo flights, have been being observed here in Hyderabad airport. However, there are also alternate arrangements that are being done because you can see that there were refreshments and there were chairs and everything was provided. However, it was the Indigo Airlines had woken up very late, and there were refreshments, and they also tied up with the local RTC bus here. And what we're learning is that the nearby places such as Chennai, Bangalore, which is a few hours drive away, they are trying to send the passengers, accommodate them, and try to do something. This is what the passengers here have recently told me. However, these arrangements are but still passengers are struggling here because those who wanted to travel swiftly to their particular destinations are still suffering because of the surge in other airline prices, but though there are certain arrangements that these airlines are undertaking, but still we can see that there are queues of passengers queuing up at the Indigo counter and waiting for answers, because there are several kind of problems that these passengers here are facing. Some of them had their baggage checked in, but later the flight got cancelled. So most of them here who are waiting are here for their baggage collection and other for maybe a rescheduled flight or a delayed flight. So they are also seeking answers if they get a clear clarity if the flight would take off today or no, then the uncertainty here will end and they will decide on an alternative route. That is what the passengers here are claiming from the Indigo Airlines.
Right, many thanks Shwarya and Satyaprakash and my colleague Shambhavi from Delhi joining us, getting us inputs from these affected airports. Now we'll just show you this video that's coming in now from Ahmedabad Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport. This visual will tell you, viewers, why this story is important that only Republic TV is closely tracking. It has pushed the government to in fact take note and finally wake up and take action. This is a scenes of distress unfolding as a passenger was seen weeping amid the long queues caused by yet another round of Indigo flight cancellations. The disruptions coming as the DGCA flight duty time limitations orders were placed in abeyance with immediate effect following widespread delays and cancellations of Indigo flights across the country. And this is the video. You can see the woman who's in tears. She's in despair. This is the situation of so many of the passengers in airports across the country, and this matter finally is picking up more and more of national attention. The government also now finally pushed to act, and now there's going to be a meeting also today by the Civil Aviation Ministry. They have summoned Indigo officials also seeking removal of the CEO of Indigo. So we at Republic will continue to get you voices from ground zero, viewers, and keep you updated with every development. Meanwhile, let's take a look at some other stories that we're also picking up from across the country. This is Bharat in 2 minutes. The national capital woke up to a blanket of toxic smog with the average AQI hitting 333 in the very poor category. Despite a slight improvement from recent weeks, several parts of the city remain shrouded in a dense layer of toxic smog. Many areas reported thick haze with visibility significantly reduced early morning. And according to the Pollution Control Board, many regions of the national capital fell into very poor category in AQI. Long queues, passengers in tears and repeated flight cancellations created a severe disruption at Ahmedabad Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport as Indigo continued to face nationwide operational delays. Disruption coming in even as DGCA placed its flight duty time limitation orders in abeyance with immediate effect. Assam Police, in major anti-narcotic operation, has recovered Yaba tablets worth 3 crore rupees. Apprehended person in connection with the drug network during this search operation. The police team recovered Yaba tablets from his possession. A case has been registered and investigation is underway. Leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, paid homage to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in Parliament on the occasion of Mahaparinirvan Divas, marking the 70th death anniversary of the architect of the Indian Constitution, and reiterated that safeguarding Ambedkar's ideas and the Constitution remains a shared national responsibility. And viewers, there's another NOTAM that has been issued by India just this last evening. This is a notice to airmen, a NOTAM that has been now issued by India for a major Air Force exercise over the Arabian Sea on the 10th and 11th of December in a designated zone south of Karachi, roughly 200 nautical miles from the city and about 70 nautical miles from Pakistan. There you have several nautical miles from Pakistan-controlled airspace. Now, so the NOTAM has been issued to alert the civilian aircraft to avoid the area during the drill. Exercise to feature fighter jets, surveillance platforms and support aircraft aimed at sharpening the Air Force's maritime strike readiness and air-sea coordination. Conducting such an exercise near Pakistan's coastal airspace likely to heighten regional vigilance and could influence diplomatic and military interactions. Now, both nations maintain this delicate security balance, making any military maneuvers near shared borders closely monitored by respective defense establishments. Officially described as routine training, the proximity of the location to Pakistan's coastal airspace gives the drill added strategic weight. Ishan joins us live on the broadcast. For more, Ishan, tell us more details about this air exercise that is slated to happen, for which this NOTAM has been issued.
A NOTAM for exercises being conducted by the Indian Air Force has been issued by the authorities, and this is scheduled for 10th and 11th of December. Now, this is totally over international waters, and the pattern of the NOTAM is suggestive of the fact that there might be anti-submarine warfare drills that may be taking place. This particular type of drill that is being performed right now would primarily focus on sea-based warfare and surveillance capabilities of the Indian Air Force, and the fact that it has been issued so close to Pakistani international waters is indicative of the nature of the exercises. This might also give an opportunity for the Indian Air Force to gather data points on particularly Pakistani vessel deployments in this particular region. And the type of aircraft being used in this particular NOTAM are mostly support aircraft and inclusive of aerial intelligence aircraft. That is the AWACS aircraft of the Indian Air Force.
Right.
Now, this exercise is also especially important because it will also test the capability of the Indian Air Force to sustain long-term deployments over oceanic areas beyond the Indian borders.
All right. Many thanks, Sean, for getting to us those details of that NOTAM for the Air Force's drill. And viewers, now shifting focus to this mega visit of Vladimir Putin that concluded last night. Now, Russian President Putin vowed uninterrupted fuel supplies to India during the 2025 India-Russia summit, defying U.S. pressures. Yet, December imports hit a 3-year low amid tightened sanctions on Rosneft, Lukoil, and Trump's 50% tariffs on Indian goods. The refiners pulled back post-November surge as New Delhi prioritizes stable prices and secure energy. Modi stresses partnership resilience. Jaishankar and Misri temporary. What really transpired and what's the significance of it? Take a look at this report.
Energy. Russia is a reliable supplier of oil, gas, coal, and everything that is required for the development of India's energy. We are ready to continue uninterrupted shipments of fuel for the fast-growing Indian economy.
During his visit to India, Vladimir Putin vowed uninterrupted supply of fuel to India, signaling open defiance of US pressure. He called Russia a reliable supplier and said Moscow would meet India's rising energy demand without disruption. However, behind the warm hugs and tall promises, India's Russian oil imports are actually shrinking fast. Trade data shows that December 2025 is set to see India's lowest Russian oil imports in at least 3 years. After a surge in November, Indian refiners are pulling back to avoid breaching new, tightened US sanctions on Russian oil, especially on Rosneft and Lukoil, which buyers had to wind down dealings with by 21st November 2025. India's pivot also comes after Donald Trump slapped a 50% tariff on Indian goods in August, arguing New Delhi's Russian oil binge undermined US sanctions.
You know, I've been very disappointed that India would be buying so much oil, as you know, from Russia. And I let them know that. We put a very big tariff on India, 50% tariff, very high tariff.
New Delhi called the tariffs unreasonable and unjustified.
Access and costs themselves became pressure points on nations. Double standards are clearly in evidence. Excellencies, peace can certainly enable development, but by threatening development, we cannot facilitate peace. Making energy and other essentials more uncertain in an economically fragile situation helps no one. Therefore, the way out is to move the needle towards dialogue and diplomacy, not in the opposite direction.
Prime Minister Modi didn't mention oil publicly, but he stressed that energy security is a pillar of India-Russia partnership. Regarding Russian oil imports, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said that India is focusing on two main goals: keeping energy prices stable and ensuring reliable supplies.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्डकोर मसाला।
सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
From the hallowed chambers of the Supreme Court of India, the law roars louder, real, fearless, historic. The first Buddhist Chief Justice of India, former Chief Justice of India, Justice B.R. Gavai, unshaken in conviction. This weekend on the legal side of things, only on Republic TV.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, एवरीडे।
भाई मेरा बेटी को प्यार चाहिए, मेरा बेटी का ब्लड आ रहा, ब्लड नीचे से ब्लड आ रहा, प्यार चाहिए, दे दो। क्यों नहीं कर सकता? क्यों नहीं कर सकता? क्यों नहीं कर सकता? मेरे को प्यार चाहिए अभी।
That we have experienced severe operational disruptions for the past few days. Since then, the crisis continued to aggravate, with today, December 5th, being the most severely impacted day, with the number of cancellations well over 1,000, or more than half of our number of daily flights.
Please welcome Mr. Vijay Karya in conversation with Ms. Rakshita Mishra, Special Correspondent and Anchor of the Republic Media Network.
Thank you so much, and very warm welcome, sir. And of course, the session we're going to discuss about how India is becoming the new powerhouse of global production. We talk about production, we talk about make in India, and not just make for India anymore, make for the world. So now, in your understanding, sir, what are the factors, the drivers of that help India today position itself as a competitive alternative to global manufacturing hubs, especially how the Indian electrical and power sector is contributing to this shift that we are looking forward to?
Thank you. First of all, I would say that I think India is slowly shifting away from mere competitiveness to a very important milestone, and which is trust. It is moving away from being a mere manufacturer for the world to becoming a partner for the world. And this is what is driving the India growth. This is what is driving the story. And I think this transformation that I can visibly see has come across in the last decade or so, where we were always looked upon as low cost, low quality, low engineering skills, and therefore a very unreliable country where products were coming out from. And this has transformed into high trust, high quality, and a high reliability in terms both of product life as well as in terms of Indians are there, they won't run away from any problem that occurs. And this is what has transformed the outlook of the world. As far as the Indian electrical industry goes, I would say that we have seen that in the 90s, and I would say even early 2000s, we were like, especially in our industry, we were like dogs and Indians not allowed. And we struggled. We set up a manufacturing unit outside India, and we are the only Indian cable company to have a manufacturing unit outside the country. And it's been a very highly well respected, as well as I would say a very wise decision that we took at that time, though we were advised not to do so. Today when we see and when we go out, we are welcomed across the world, and people recognize that India is now trustworthy and it is not merely low cost.
And especially how, Ravin Group's expansion into, more than 100 countries, has shown that how it becomes the first, global's first Indian cable manufacturer to set up a government-partnered facility abroad, sir. And how would you describe, if you could just elaborate on its journey in strengthening, this global factory floor that we are today envisioning?
So yes, it's a matter of pride for us that we set up a unit outside the country 21 years ago. We started the work on it and we commissioned it about 20 odd years ago. The government and the ruler, both are partners. We are a notified government company. More than that, we cater to different markets across the world, and today we are seeing there's a turmoil in terms of the relationship with the US, where the Indian companies are saddled with a huge amount of duties. Fortunately, UAE is out of that duty segment, and therefore we are today able to cater to more than 100 countries across the world and almost all the continents of the world. And we are now today a 75-year-old group of companies, and we hold the proud distinction that in our entire journey, we do not have one single reported failure. And that's something which we pride ourselves on. So I say that our journey began with a lot of hard work. It was without recognition. It was, we were treated in a very diffident manner. And now today, when we go, we are welcomed. When we go to meet people across the world, they look forward to. They put us on their websites. When we go, the photographs are put up on the website. So I think all this is credit not just to our group and our ethics and integrity, but it is also a big credit to India and the way the Indian industry has grown, which is now benefiting both industry as well as the country.
Right, sir. Let's talk about, sir, how technology is playing a key role in manufacturing, especially with the quality, with special focus on high quality, sir. Because India, we speak about digitization. We also talk about green tech as well. So automation, digitization, and green technology, sir. How is it really helping to, in fact, deliver globally, benchmarked manufacturing output from the country?
So I would take it one step backward and say that we are seeing, and I say this repeatedly, that this Make in India and what Viksit Bharat we are talking about is not just a slogan, but it is something which is happening practically. We have the pride and the honor to have supplied almost the entire quantum of cables for the Mumbai Metro Underground Line 3. Which would not have been possible earlier because people used to ask for our credentials. Where have you supplied? What have you done? Now, any new product that comes in cannot have a past history. It is something new. It is something new that we've developed. And therefore, technology and something new with technology was something where the industry was scared and perhaps skeptical of bringing in because it would take a very long time to convince people. We can see here Delhi Metro in the first phase, almost 100% of the products were imported from outside the country. And now I think the import of products for the various metro lines that are happening all over the country are being supplied by the Indian companies, and they have adapted this technology. Now, honestly, it's not just, technology is something that perhaps you can innovate or you can copy. Technology is something which you can build with machines. I think it's a two-step or hand-in-hand process. You can buy new machines, but you can buy the machines with latest technologies, but yet you have to build the skill in your own workforce. So though you can get a lot of foreign machines, and like here we are seeing that, you could have brought in a lot of equipment from across the world, but the people who are running it, the people who are manning it, the people who are working on it are Indians, and they are the skilled people, and that is what we decided, that with the technology, and I would honestly admit that our exports across the world did help us build a lot on quality. And we said that why should there be a difference in quality between what we are supplying outside the country and what we are supplying inside the country. So today, if you go to our factories, there is no difference. There is no difference at all in what we are manufacturing for another country, a developed country, and what we are manufacturing for India. And we invite customers, come to our plant any point of time and review what we are manufacturing and see if you can see any difference. Now, quality has changed a lot. Green energy that you are talking about has now become, I think, something which we are all used to, which we all accept. Though initially it was with skepticism when the Prime Minister spoke of solar energy and bringing in 100 gigawatts and of electricity through the solar route, and whether the grid could take it or not. We all have adapted to these new technologies, and I think today India, and I'm happy to say that the Indian electrical industry leads the world in terms of technologies, and we are adapting products to Indian conditions. It's a different ball game altogether when you talk of the challenging Indian environment and the challenging Indian conditions for installations. But we are getting there. Safety is of paramount importance, and fire safety is one of the issues that plague the country. We are yet a country with the highest amount of fires in the world. And we've seen a few days ago what happened in Hong Kong, in a building where I think maybe hundreds of lives were unfortunately lost. And that's something which now we are trying to bring into India. We brought it into India, a technology where your cables, even if there is a fire, you do not need to switch off the electricity, because electricity is a man's best friend. You should not abandon it when you are in trouble. So we bring in the fire survival cables, the fire safe cables. And I'm happy to say that even the Republic studio that we are sitting in here has used a majority of our cables.
Well, that's the trust. In fact, you mentioned about fire safety. Ravin's contribution is something that should be highlighted here, such as fire-resistant cables for Mumbai Metro, very, very important. It actually showcases India's ability to, provide for world-class and reliable, as you mentioned the word reliability, and also scalable industrial solutions for global markets. So how do you feel that, how do you see infrastructure in India? There's a rapid growth, be it the metro lines, be it renewable parks, also in transmission upgrades also. It is actually somewhere reflecting the country's preparedness also. And where does, how do you see Ravin's contributions, if you could just shed further light?
So I think I would first admit that it's the intent of the government, and we heard that, and we've been seeing that the Prime Minister has been talking about upgrading the life and lifestyles of people. And we are seeing that infrastructure today is growing at such a pace where we are not able to cope up. The infrastructure is not able to cope up with the kind of demand that is required for them. And here is where I think I'm happy that the government, and just I read today that the Maharashtra government has yesterday passed